Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you, as I hope and I wish that we always do. You know, my name is Raheem. I'm not important. I'm just a question asker. And we made it, man. We made it. It's another Friday. It's another Friday. This is what we call Black Friday. Now, I tell you all the time, don't get too caught up on the name. Don't get caught up on the name. I want to say this name. Kittable, I hope I said your name right. Good morning, Kittable. Good to have you this morning. Don't get so caught up on the name. It's called Black Friday, but anybody black, white, orange, polka dot stripe, or lily can call in and talk about what we're talking about today. We'll talk about situations that happen in and around the community and communities on Friday. And so, like I said again, don't get caught up on the title. Don't get caught up on the name. We are here to talk and discuss and have discussions on different things that are going on. Captain Leonard, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem and the Morning Glow family.
Man, Leonard, I got a question I gotta ask you, man. I got a question I
Mm,
gotta ask you. I hope you
what?
ready. I hope you ready for this one right here, Leonard. Leonard. Now, I was listening to the radio television this morning, and a topic came across the board, and I said, man, I gotta ask my folks that right there. I gotta ask my folks that and find out how they feel about this right here. Now, a young lady said that her son have 8 kids by several different baby mamas. 8 kids. She got 8 grandchildren. She told her grandson that on his weekend, which 8 kids probably every weekend, she, as the grandmother, is not going to bail him out and watch those kids. Good morning, beauty. Is not going to bail him out and watch those kids for him on his weekend. He got 8 kids. I'm sure it's probably every weekend, but that's another part of the conversation. Good morning, Gio. Is she right? Is she wrong? Or what message is she sending to the kids by not wanting to keep them? What message is she actually sending? She's sending the message to him that she's not gonna bail him out because she told him to stop making all these stop populating the land. And but he continues to do it to the point he have 8 kids now by several. She doesn't have many, but she says several different baby mothers. Is she right or wrong by saying that she is not going to babysit her grandchildren?
No, she's not wrong. Why would she be wrong?
It's a question, brother. I'm the question
No,
asker.
she's not. That's
Mm-hmm.
the answer.
Mm-hmm. So what message is she sending to the grandkids? Because she's punishing him by not taking care of the kids or not watching the kids and grandkids at all. But she's also punishing the grandkids because they don't have an opportunity now to get to know their grandmother, and she could be planting a seed in them saying the grandmama don't want us.
I'm not gonna make up that story for them
Mm-hmm.
because
You have to make it out.
it's not her responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And one, first of all, this notion that your parents have to take care of your children,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a very good perception of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can distinctly remember my mother telling me that that is not her responsibility.
Mm.
Distinctly.
Mm-hmm.
So those individuals, yes, we don't know the extent of this child care.
Mm-hmm.
It is his job as the father to provide and take care of his children on his weekend. Hell, he ain't got but a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You could at least be responsible then.
But see, you say he don't have but the weekend. That part can be true, but at the same time, with 8 kids, it's gonna be very hard for him to juggle. Like if
That's his
say say,
problem.
say if he got no, we're not dealing with that from that angle. But just say that if he got 8 kids, say if he got five different baby moms, I'm just throwing them out there. It's gonna be very difficult for him to juggle and get all those five mothers to agree on one weekend. And if it is one weekend, he have 8 kids that he has to deal with on that one weekend. That's a
I,
task
I,
within
I,
itself.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That is his responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm. Wow.
He can ask his mother to help him.
But she already said she's not going to. She already
Okay,
made that
then.
clear.
Okay, then. It's
That's
still
become
his
abundantly clear.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's still
Mm-hmm.
his responsibility. I'm not into this notion where you put your mistakes and your foolishness
Well, I'm not gonna
and
say his kids was a mistake. Now I'm not gonna go that far. I'm not gonna
and
say that though.
convenience other
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I
I
look
can
like.
I can understand. I can understand what you say. You know, his maybe inconvenience, something, maybe, and that's a stretch for me. Inconvenient, but I would never say that they. Hopefully, they were not mistakes. People do make
I don't
mistakes.
even I don't even understand why. Okay, so we can just believe that he wanted all 7 babies with 7
Eight,
different
no,
mamas,
no, no,
8
eight.
or
Yeah,
whatever. You
yeah.
can assume that if you would like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a certain procedure you have to go through to make kids,
I'm just
and
saying I don't even, man, this is a issue
it is.
that is old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Old. I
Mm-hmm.
would never do it to my mother.
Mm-hmm. But see, and my thing is, my grandmother actually raised me. And so I guess I have a more sensitive spot in regards to this. My grandmother raised me.
But she raised you for a reason.
Well, you know, everything is done for a reason, Leonard. But my thing is this right
She
here.
didn't take you from nobody.
No, no, no.
Exactly.
But she raised me, and so and with that being said, I have a more sensitive spot because I know the connection that me and my grandmother have and had before she went home
But
to
see,
glory.
that's the thing about it now.
Mm-hmm.
I am a man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't speak from a child's point of view.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone on this particular discussion, anybody that come on is going to speak from a child standpoint.
Well,
I don't think that's
when
the
you
case.
sit there and you act as if the kids have some type of say so in something,
Mm-hmm.
or you act like it's the kids are the people that make the decisions.
No, I never said that. I never
Oh,
said that.
okay.
No, I never
Because
said
that's
that.
one issue I know that a lot of people have a problem with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What I did say is you could be sending a very harmful message to the grandkids and have them think that
You
grandmama
don't
don't even
have to
want to
send
be.
them no message. You can,
Well,
because
your
first of
actions gonna
all,
send a message.
children don't have a concept of grandparents until you give it to them.
No, they know who the grandparents
No,
are.
they
You know,
don't.
yeah. Come on,
No,
man.
no, no, they
You
don't.
don't you don't think
You
you
have
don't
to
think the parents gonna,
explain relationship
but you don't think
to a
that they gonna know
child.
who their daddy's mama is?
You have
That's
to explain brother and sister relationship to children
mm-hmm. Mm.
because they
Wow.
don't have a concept of that
I
until
give
you
kids
explain it to them.
I give kids a little more credit. I'm not gonna say respect, but credit than that. Let me go. We got a couple of people on the phone. I hear the phone line beeping, beeping, beeping. So I want to go ahead on and call the people in the phone line. Rico, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Y'all can't complain, man. Welcome to a new day. Out here feeling good, man.
Yes, sir. That's good. Hey, it's Friday, brother. It's Friday. We're gonna get into some stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into some stuff today, Friday, man. Today, we're gonna get into some stuff. Rico, you've been listening to this conversation, man. Now, he got 8 kids. He got 8 kids, she said by several the mother, the grandmother said by several different women. I don't know what that several different women is, but he have 8 kids. She said that I'm not gonna bail him out on his weekend to get the kids. I'm not gonna bail him out and babysit. She said, I'm not gonna babysit. Now, she made that stance, and she have that right. She really have the truth of the matter to Leonard's point. She have that right, whether she's going to or not. But my thing is just a strong message that she's sending to her son. She's also sending a very negative message. Could be sending a very negative message to the grandkids. That grandma don't even want to be with us, man. Grandma don't want to be around us. Grandma don't love us. Rico, how do you see this whole situation?
Well, it could be several ways. You know what I'm saying? The children might want to go to grandmama's house, and she's doing that, and they may feel that way. But maybe she's doing something good because for some reason, even though they don't live with the daddy, when the weekends come, daddy still like to do him, so he want to dump them off, and that ain't good because he needs some time with them. And I
Mm-hmm.
ain't babysitting them this weekend.
Mm-hmm. She
You
she ain't
can
babysitting
spend
them
some
at
time
all.
with these children.
She said she
You
ain't babysitting
may,
them at all.
so you know that may be a situation where she's actually helping the grandchildren because the grandchildren may feel the same way, but they just don't have the voice, the
Mm-hmm.
courage, and the bravery to say, Daddy, you ain't doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we come over here, we don't even see you. We see grandmama more than we see you.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Wow.
drop us off in hall bed until Sunday, till
Mm-hmm.
it's time to take us back. So grandmama might be saying, you know what? I am not about to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
I am not about to sit up here and watch these kids so he could go out here and make more. He could do it Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be doggone if he gonna do it on my watch and then have me doing this for the next 10 or 15 years. So it's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason behind everything. You know, even with the way you put the scenario out there. You know, if he got 5 or 6 different baby mamas, or how many other different baby mamas, he may be a good father. He may be a foolish, or he may be a Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the other video went viral this past week about this guy took a family photo with 20 some of his children. He said 9 of them went there. So all in all, he had over 30 children. I guarantee you this man ain't nowhere near 35 years old. And everybody was condemning him. But he went to pulling out money and just saying, man, you know, y'all mad because y'all can't take care of him. If I could take care of him, what business is it? You know, they were saying his pullout game was weak. He's like, man, I ain't got no pullout game. He said, I go deeper. So that lets you know he intentionally making these children. And it lets you know that the women intentionally keep laying down with him, knowing that he want to make these babies because he's 30-something strong already. So, you know, if he's taking care of them, what can you say? But if he isn't, then grandmama and everybody else got something to say. Whoever has to go and pick up his slack when he want to continue doing what he was doing.
But what about the message?
Make money somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he have to. But my thing is, just like I said earlier, the message that she's sending to her son, she also could be sending a very negative. And if don't nobody have that conversation with them grandkids, they could grow up resenting grandma or thinking grandma ain't worth a hick or hop.
It depends. I mean, they could actually embrace and appreciate the fact that they put the dad in place because daddy needed to hear that. You know, yesterday we were saying about 2 minutes of information, and I was like, man, sometimes you have to just make people aware and be brutally honest with them. Maybe it's time for daddy to hear that these kids want to spend some time with you. Every weekend I'm watching them and they telling me this. Yeah, I love them and they love me, but they don't see you and you got them every weekend. So it actually depends on the situation. Now, if he's a good father and they want to go around their grandmother and that grandmother is still just doing her and she don't want to be bothered with them grandchildren, then that would be sending a negative message. And she would have to deal with those consequences later on when she started wondering why the grandbabies don't come by and see her. My y'all just don't love grandchildren or grandparents the way y'all used to. Well, you don't have a bond with them. You said you didn't want to be bothered with them when it was time for them to learn and bond with you. When that brain computer that sponge was learning how to mold and mold itself and adapt and love, you didn't want to be a part of that bonding. You didn't want to give them no quality time. You didn't want to share no memories. You didn't want to tell them where they came from. You didn't want to tell them about your grandmama and your granddad. You said you don't want to be bothered with your grandchildren. So it's a consequence. Because they're going to remember that if they really want to go to grandmama's house.
Exactly. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Who's right and who's wrong in this whole scenario? Is grandma being selfish? Is daddy being selfish? Who's right? And how do the children? What happens with the children, man? Do the children do they have a right to look at grandma a certain way because she don't want to keep them, or should they just look at dad and say, Dad, you need to step up to the plate. You need to step your game up, Dad. We got another caller from the 256 area code. 256 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Hicks again.
Hicks, good to have you, brother. Good morning. What's on your heart? What's on your heart, Hicks? How does this thing play out?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No. I'm just asking, how do you see this thing playing out?
Well, it's wow. It's complicated. I think it's complicated because it depends on so many things: the circumstances, the individuals involved, how they handle the situation, and things can work out many different ways. I got married before Vietnam. I had a child while I was away. My young wife had a baby by someone else. I didn't handle it well. Didn't really form the bonds that I could have formed with my children from that marriage. But they were raised by my mother, and my mother put love in them for me, and a gradual understanding of what the situation was. I think these situations, right or wrong in situations, I don't have a hard time doing that. Situations sometimes determines what's right or wrong. It's not etched in stone, but I think it's part of what happened to us, you know, the breakup of the family during our sojourn in slavery. Then then all the other stuff after that, and then the breakdown of the whole moral structure and sexual structures. It's frustrating, but I think it depends. It depends on, with me, I guess with me, I'm a praying person. I always prayed, and early I got involved with transcendental meditation. So I started meditating. Meditating made me be able to understand and sort of weather whatever storm was coming at me. But it's not an ideal situation. Ideal, it should be the mother and father in the house. And when that structure is broken down, everything's going to fall down.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm still wrapped up. I'm hoping you come around one day, come down to have a discussion that finished a couple of days ago about the murder thing, the murder and killing. And my thought was about the New Testament, which is a New Testament given after death. The New Testament implied all those old things in the Old Testament, but the New Testament was a whole new scoop on thing. Peter, Paul, all of those who could have fought that just willingly sacrificed their life, following an example of the Christ. So I guess under the New Testament, there is no reason to murder if you believe in the full concept.
Exactly.
I thank you, bro. I'm still listening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Stay right there. We're gonna come back to you. We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Right. I think you're talking about me. This is Kurt, man.
Kurt, good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm all right, brother. Let me find this remote so I can meet this television. What's going on with you this morning?
Well, Kurt, we asking a question, man. I was watching a television radio this morning, and a conversation came up where the grandmother said that her son have 8 kids. She been telling her son to stop populating the land. Stop populating the land. He got 8 kids. She said by numerous different baby mothers. Didn't say how many, but numerous baby mothers. She said that she would not babysit on his weekend. Now I don't know whether he get the kids, all kids 8 one weekend, or spread out over the month where every weekend he have a different child. I don't know how that thing worked, but she said that she would not bail him out and babysit those children. That she told him already. He did what he did. His responsibility. She's not gonna babysit. Now, is she right or is she wrong? Now, she does have the right to say, well, I'm not going to, because technically they're not her kids, they're her grandkids. But she said, I'm not going to bail him out and babysit those children. Now, what message is she sending to her son? And what message is she sending to the grandchildren? Maybe they even be thinking to the point growing up, thinking, Grandma don't want to be with us. Grandma don't want us around. So, Curtis, how do you see this thing?
No, she got that right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, she shouldn't be babysitting at all.
Mm.
You know, that's like if
Now, she might want to see her grandkids, Curtis.
I get, huh?
She might want.
I get it. It's the grandkids, but in all honesty, if he the daddy, grandmama house should be a visit, not a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You understand now? You know, I understand, you know, you got work or whatever, but people better learn to take off. You can't keep relying on grandmama to baby to do your job, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know the full story, but come on, man. That lady got a right to say, no, this weekend right here, I got plans to do such and such, such and such.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be, oh, okay, mama, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds to me like put it out like every time he go and drop him off at grandma's house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of felt that way a little bit myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Leonard, talk to me, brother.
I think that you know, people have a different concepts, but responsibility is what it is. I don't shirk responsibility for nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Right is right, and if you on the other side, you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you, like, say for instance, he can take his children over to his grandmother's house, and they can spend all day together if they would like.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he would like, and he have them. That should be a stop that weekend, is to go see grandmother. You go see grandmother, and then y'all go home.
Mm-hmm. Take them with you.
There you go. Because this notion that that's the problem in our community. We think it's somebody else's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
to take care of our issues. It's always somebody else's issue. You have to do this. No, I've heard women sound so ignorant. I got all these kids now. Who gonna help me? Yo, the ones you made them with should be helping you. And this has been a
Hello?
problem in our community as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Just making babies without a plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying. Absolutely.
Like, one, you didn't think about the food those kids had to eat, the house they had to live in, the clothes they had to put on the back. You didn't think about that before you made them. So you
Mhm.
could have prepared the way before them. So if you don't, like I said, for one, you are the one that introduced your children to this world. You're the one that set the guidelines for their relationships and things and how they view this world. So one, if you bring them into a screwed up life, what do you think that does to your children?
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be calling their grandmama mama. They should know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
They should know who's who. Like, say, for instance, you have to explain to children the brother-sister relationship, the husband-wife relationship, the mama-daddy relationship. That's your responsibility. And see, and if you raise these children believing that their grandmama's supposed to be their mama or anything other than that, you're miseducating them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that they may grow up thinking that it's okay to do what you did. Like my father, for instance. My father was raised by his grandmother. And we know back then what some of the issues could have been. But his grandmother raised him because his mother did not for some reason, or
Mm-hmm.
could not for some reason.
Or could
So
not.
that's different than you out here being sexually irresponsible and placing the burden of your actions on someone else.
Mm-hmm. That's a powerful word, burden. And see, that's sticky to me. Let me go to on Tucson. Ain't no telling what are we about to get. Good morning, Tucson. How you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
We got one going this morning, Tucson. We got one going, brother.
No, you don't. We can finish this right now. I mean, I wish I would.
Come on now.
I mean, and Leonard said it, and everybody else said it. Now, if I didn't have the children, what responsibility is that of me?
Well, you're the
Why is that
grandparent
my
now.
responsibility?
You still the grandparent, ain't?
Right. I say that again.
You still the grandparent.
Okay. Bring them by. Hello. They so cute. Take them home. Take them with you, wherever they home at. How many homes they got? Drop them off one at a time. If you need a bus, because you got 10, you must have a van. So take them home, drop them off one at a time. And if you want to take them by and bring them, I'll have something for them to eat if they need it. But at the end of the day, they don't have no bed to sleep at this house.
508-924-3521.
I don't have 30 seconds left.
You still got some time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm just playing.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call, man. Now, why in the world grandma can't keep them kids sometime? Now, grandma, you could keep the kids sometime. So, grandma, now, I don't expect you to do it every time, but sometime, Rico, grandma, you could keep the kids now. It's a team sport, grandma. Talk to me, Rico.
I'm about like Donald, man. I might end up leaving you 2 minutes. We can find our best way to make this conversation last an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, but really and truly it shouldn't last but about 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because the grandmother is either doing it for one or two reasons. Either she's doing it because she's selfish and she doesn't understand the benefits of nurturing a family. she's one of these modern women, or she is trying to make him take care of his priorities.
Mm-hmm.
We still got to understand those grandchildren may be coming over there subconsciously showing and saying out loud,
Mm-hmm.
our daddy don't never spend no time with us. Every time he come get us, he take us to the park or take us to McDonald's, and then he bring us right over here and he gone.
Mm-hmm.
And she might be thinking to herself, man, I'm not fixing to sit up here and allow you to go out here and continue celebrating and partying every weekend. And these kids don't get none of that time. You're not fixing to make partying a priority.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every time you bring them over here early and say you're coming back, you don't never show back up. You always got an excuse. Your phone went dead. I'm not fixing to do it because you're tricking me.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't just pissing me off, but these children are tired of seeing everybody else on Facebook taking pictures with their daddy, big money grip.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's an NFL superstar that just come home for the weekend. I've seen this with my own eyes. And the children get angry because every time they turn around, somebody else telling them they seen their daddy, but they ain't seen him. They didn't even know he came in town.
Mm-hmm.
But they know their grandmama. So, maybe the grandmama is doing it because she's saying, I got to put my foot down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fixing to cater to him anymore. I'm not fixing to enable him to sit back and keep mistreating and neglecting his duties, his priorities, his seed, his children. But now, to keep it on this level, because we're not speaking about them being in a bad situation and risking going into foster care, and then she needs to get them, and she's saying, well, you know what, I ain't got time for them kids, let the folks have them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's totally different.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. I mean, really and truly, you really can't go too much further in this conversation unless you're just trying to find something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if the children, she's doing the children wrong like that just because she being nasty, and he is taking care of his priorities, but she doesn't never have time. Then, like I said, she got to deal with the consequences. But like when y'all went into the responsibility of the family and the burden and stuff like that, I'm thinking like, to be honest, I might just have to come back on this one, man. It will go into a different space.
Mm-hmm.
If I address this other issue. It will go into the custody thing. But I was thinking about how in the past, the families, the grandmothers, some of the family members, that first 6 weeks, maybe even longer, that whole burden of being a parent was taken from that mother. That's why you didn't hear too much about postpartum depression in the past.
Yeah.
Now we have issues with postpartum depression because it's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got time to come and assist you. It was a reason. See, we talk about how we want to follow tradition and how we've gotten away from tradition, and then we'll go right back and dismiss tradition and say that it was a crutch. It was a handicap. When really and truly it wasn't a handicap. That was the tradition. It was the reason why the elders came up with the thought process to say, well, you know what? When these women have these babies, we're going to come and take that baby from her and do everything she need to get done so she could just recover and get her mind right. But see, we take some things for granted, get caught up in modern ways. 1 minute we want to be traditional, and the next minute we want to be modern, and that contradiction and that it goes against each other. And so now we don't really understand the value of family, unity. The whole reason that even exists and why it got us to where we are was because of that support system. Sometimes the women did have assistance, and it wasn't just for 6 weeks. Sometimes it was longer than that. Women just had to lay up and get pampered and recover. They took, or just nurse. We didn't just see this on movies. This is known historically that this is what happened in the past. So we can't dismiss that and start, pointing the finger at people and saying, well, that's your responsibility. That's your responsibility. And I ain't got to do it. Man, we family.
Yeah. But
So
what is that line of responsibility stop, and it becomes abusive to the point where a person is taking advantage of someone else?
When they can get up and do it on their own, and they refusing to do it, and they choosing to make other things their priority, like going to the club every weekend instead of bonding with their children and teaching them to read and seeing how far they are in their education and really learning and telling them about where you came from. See that the father and the grandparent and everybody got to tell them their history. So they'll know where they came from. We got to pass all this down. We worry about being educated, but then we say we don't give our oral history. They
Mm-hmm.
used to give oral history in the past. Well, what's wrong with it now? We don't do it.
Exactly, exactly. Curtis, what's on your heart, man? We switching up a little bit while I guess staying the same. We veered a little bit into the education. Now, America is one of, they say, the greatest countries in the world. Why is our education system failing so much? Curtis?
Right here, I had to hit the mute button. And
Mhm.
I had to think about you saying. Well, first off, well, I don't know. This is my opinion. First and foremost, your education system is failing because your education system is based on money.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two.
So Curtis, you do. Let me step in 1 second. You do agree that America, here in America, the education system, you do agree that it's failing, or do you think it's not failing?
No, it's failing tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
It's failing tremendously. I don't even think last report. I don't think we even in the top 10
Mm-hmm.
in any.
Mm-hmm.
But for one, the system is failing because the system is based on money. It's set up on a platform of money. When you realistically look at it, it's set up on a platform based on economics.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. Two, the system is failing because you keep teaching these lies to these kids. You know what I'm saying? Three, it's failing because you keep teaching kids how to be buyers and not sellers. So you're not even teaching them the truth about the economics and how the economical system is set up. A kid that don't go to college will never learn certain things about economics until it's too late. Three is failing because the structure of your curriculums, they're not based on a world of 2022. Four, I done lost count. Four, what, do I need to say any more? Four, your history classes is teaching a lie. So now you got kids walking around and they believe in a lie, and then once they get to an institution of higher learning, and the institution of higher learning is teaching them the truth, now you got kickback. Because, whoa, these people been teaching me a lie all this time.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that I looked at to you know what I mean, comfort and guide me. But the whole while they've been teaching a lie, and they knew they was teaching a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Three, the school system ain't safe. When we was growing up, man, and I was saying this to some of the bros, we were sitting down talking on Memorial Day weekend. When we was growing up, there was pretty much 3 places you could go that was safe. Outside of your house, there was 3 places that you could go that was safe.
Mm-hmm.
The movies, the school, and the church.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good deal.
Now, you know what I mean? Like for a kid, a young kid that has a certain level of fear, can you imagine what he's going through getting dressed for school?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Let's keep this thing going. Let me go right now to our Leonard. Is the school system here in America, is it failing? And what needs to happen to improve on it and get it to a better, a more stable place, give it a little more stability?
Well, one, I don't believe that schools are failing at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of things that schools can do to improve
Mm-hmm.
their administration of education, most
Mm-hmm.
definitely. But schools aren't failing. Students are.
Mm.
Students are. Now, if people don't have a desire for education, it's going to be very difficult to teach them anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of focusing on the few that don't, what about everybody else that does? If I got a classroom full of 50 people and 49 make it, I guarantee you it ain't the school. It's the student. School should be about students. And if students don't perform, This is the problem with a lot of folks in education. They're being held, they're trying to be forced to be held responsible for something that they can't be fully responsible for.
Mm.
You could have the best teacher in the world standing teaching students. And if those students have some other concept or of education is not a priority, they're not going to be successful. So, say for instance, just like a child wants to play basketball, that is one of the motivations for them sometimes to go to school because they enjoy playing basketball. But is that the priority? Should that be the priority?
Should not be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Education, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's very simple. So, but then again, you have Black culture, our community. Oh, my son's so smart. He's so smart and blah, blah, blah. And the reason why he ain't behaving and doing well in school is because you're not holding his attention.
Mm.
Oh, he's so smart, but he got all E's and F's. He's not that smart.
I see, and that's one of the things I have an issue with as well. And I don't even know if this is a part of this conversation, but how we grade our children. I mean, because some people, and I've seen people, man, I've never had the issue myself, but I've seen some people, Rico, that have, and we got some other people on the phone line going to come to you as well. But I've seen some people, man, that just don't test well. They're not good testing. They know the material, but when it comes time to take the test, man, their hands get to sweating, all kind of stuff get to going on with them, man, and they're just not good test takers. You could ask them a question.
Right,
they tense up. You could ask them a question, and they'll give you the right answer in a verbal conversation. But when it comes time to getting that pen or the pencil in their hand and that piece of paper in front of them, man, they lose it, man. They lose it.
Yep.
And paper was.
You're right, man.
And
I'm the opposite.
Yeah, and paper.
When you ask,
the paper show them.
When you ask, go ahead.
But the paper would show that they're not that smart, or they're not that intelligent, or they don't know. When in reality, they do know. They just don't take tests well.
That's just a behavior issue or a mental hang-up, you know.
Yeah.
And that happens. That could be sometimes might get diagnosed as autism.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I call it anxiety.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I could write down some stuff much better than I could speak it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's opposite for me, but I can understand that. You know what I'm saying? How you can get a panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go through anxiety. You know, but the thing is, like, with that question you asked, you didn't say that it wasn't the children's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Or that was the children feeling. You just asked whether the school's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard is right. The students are feeling. But you just can't take it away from the schools neither, because you got teachers up in there screwing children. You got teachers up in there that have completely white classes that start teaching white supremacy rhetoric, and they get filmed doing it. You have schools that don't have funding because they are intentionally being neglected, excluded from funds because they're in the community where they really don't get the funding from the politicians and the government. So I mean, the curriculum is behind. I mean, just because one person is wrong doesn't mean that the other person is right.
Mm-hmm.
Or one side is wrong. Sometimes both sides can be imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes both sides can fail.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the children fail and some of the schools fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do have testing that prove that this is a failing school.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything Linda said was true, but you can't take away and just give the education system all of this credit. Like every school in the country that is established is in proper functioning condition.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true. Some schools you go to are terrible.
Yeah.
They lack so much infrastructure. They don't have any concerns. It's one thing for the community to not be involved, but then when you have an industry that also realizes it would be more profitable for us to see these children go to the prison than for them to get out and make our money.
Mm-hmm.
How about we make more money from the state, from the government? Because that's how most billionaires how most wealthy people are made wealthy, through government benefits and government contracts. They find some type of way to wiggle money out of the government and then go out here and make more profit business-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got prison investments. You know, we have to understand that this is real. If there's a school to prison pipeline, unless you don't believe that,
30 seconds, we go.
then, you know, somewhere it has to be intentional. But I have firsthand knowledge that some of these schools really are failing the students.
Absolutely.
And the parents aren't involved enough to call it out. So it's a multitude of things. It's the schools, the parents, and the children.
Good deal. Good deal. Toussaint, you wanted to say something, brother?
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is in every school or classroom that they say that their students or the teacher is failing, there's at least one or two children that are passing their classes. Getting the same lesson, getting the same instructions, the same homework. And for some reason, that child is passing. What is it that makes one child flunk? And I know there's a lot of different scenarios. It can be something at home. It could be the teacher that don't care. But even if a teacher don't care, in that class, there's one little child that's passing the class.
And I think
somebody's making an adjustment somewhere.
Let me pause your time just for a second on Toussaint. And I think that goes back to what Leonard said, the desire to learn and to excel. So one child can have that desire to do it, and the other child could have no interest at all. I'm starting your time back up now, sir.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. And then not only that, we didn't want to run too far away from the initial conversation, because if these days a lady can have a child and she'd be at work tomorrow. But we are so busy trying to make it in this society. Family is really not some people's concern. They drop that child and keep it moving. So when you see it trickle down to the point where by the time the child get to school, he don't even know how to learn.
Wow. Curtis, talk to me, Curtis. What's on your heart, brother? Curtis, you there?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I just sent you a video. Play that video.
Man.
I just sent you a video. Play that video.
Okay. All right. What's on your heart? Come close to your phone, brother. You're a long ways away. We can't hear you.
That's what I'm saying. I just sent you a video. That's what's on my heart. Play that video.
Okay. Hold on. Let
me say something right quick while you get that together, then, Carlos. I had a feeling that Donald. I didn't have a feeling Donald was gonna go there, but I had a feeling that point was gonna be made about the students that do pass. So I'm gonna give this example. I went from a majority black school to a majority white school, and when I came from that majority black school and went to that white school, they were levels. They were way ahead of where I was. Mind you, I came from this majority black school, top of my class, straight A's. Not the top, but in the top 10.
Yeah.
Guaranteed to, be the standout. Going to this white school thinking, man, I'm fixing to be able to do the same thing. I made my first B's and F's. Made my first B's and F's. Same county, just different school systems. Anderson School of Education and Oxford School of Education. Oxford was a majority white school. So I had to catch up, man. One of those teachers had to sit down with me and find out where I left off at and get me caught up to where they were. That was in the same county. Two cities sitting right next side by side of each other. Now imagine going from a school like that, being at the top of your class, and then it's time to take the SAT or the ACT, and you struggling, and then all of a sudden you get to USC and you find out, man, they didn't teach us this. Man, we didn't have this, we didn't have that access. You get what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
could be, you that one or two people can be making the straight A's and Joe Clark's, what that principal name was on Lean On Me.
Yes.
You might have the 2 or 3 that's excelling. And you might have the 2 or 3 that's getting all the top parts of the education from the people that can't provide it to them. But at the same time, the environment is so rough and different that when it's time for them to go up to that next level, man, they would have to be a unicorn to actually be able to be prepared for what's at that next level if they came from a system that lacked the funding, lacked the environment. So it happens. I get what Donald was saying, because I knew somebody I was going to go down, like somebody going to say somebody making A's in there. I was that somebody. But when I went to that school next door in the next city over, the one that Aniston wants to beat Oxford and everything, they think they can compare. I went and found out, nope, y'all don't compete in education. I went over there and was looking like look, they almost want to put me in special ed. Wait a minute. Y'all ain't gonna do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was making straight A. What you mean on special ed? Y'all ain't giving me no attention, but it took somebody, one of those teachers, that said, you know what? Let me find out what's going on, because I know the rest of his family, and the rest of his family are top 3 students. So he can't, something got to be wrong for him to be making these grades and just putting his head down and not trying anymore.
Yeah.
And so it took that teacher that wanted to make that effort to get me caught up. But man, I was from a system that didn't have the, and maybe we were behind because we had to wait on other students to keep up. You get what I'm saying? But the standard of education was completely different at that white school system.
Yeah, exactly.
And it hurt my feelings.
And almost, if you're not careful, it'll give you a defeated attitude. It'll really give you a defeated attitude, because you see everybody else that's moving, that's progressing, and you at a standstill pretty much, because you didn't have the access. And that's what it is, access. You didn't have that access to all the privileges that school had in comparison to the school that you came from, which is very unfortunate here in America as well. We got VP. VP, good morning. How you doing this morning? VP, you there?
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good, yourself?
Hey, doing well, doing well. America, the one of the most powerful nations, one of the most powerful countries in the world. Yet the school system is on certainly on the decline, and is not where it should be. What is the issues? Why is America's school system failing so much?
I think of y'all ever seen that one post that was going around Facebook maybe a couple of years ago? It was a picture of a standardized test. It was a picture of a tree, and in line with an elephant, a monkey, a fish, a cat, and a bird.
I didn't see that.
I don't know if y'all ever seen that. And the point of the test was, how do you climb a tree? That's how I see the American education system. We want to put everybody in the same standardization test, but everybody's made different from different cultures. Kind of how like Rico's been adamantly bringing it up, that each county is different. So we're trying to make everybody be one. It's almost like they're trying to take advantage of people wanting to still have higher education in that feeling of the boomer age, where they were segregated and they put a lot of emphasis on having a bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and getting your education. But we can see nowadays that that whole style has been curtailed, and because it's been curtailed, American society curtailed it as well. There's no longer an emphasis on getting your education. It's more, people look at it more as a profit than a benefit. The only way you need to get your education now is to continue to increase the zeros on the back of your income. Beyond that, it's just something that you do, something that I just send my kids off to do during the day. And hopefully the second parents don't send them back with a bad note. Don't you embarrass me type thing. I noticed when with my son, because we're in a pretty good school district. Friday fights me about wanting to move all the time because our rent's higher, but the school district is better. I'm like, I'd rather be where my rent's lower and I can teach my son how to be a better man. I was one of those, like, watching him. He's he's not going to be. And I'm like Leonard. I'm not going to sit here and be like, my kid is the smartest thing that ever walked this earth. No, I'm real with y'all. My kid, he's smart. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a bookworm.
Mm-hmm.
For me to push him to be a bookworm is a false sense of parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're trying to compete out here with the Jeffersons on who you think educated. And that's another problem. Is you think your kid should be the next kid like the next kid. Little Johnny's so smart. Have you seen him do this and this? Then you push your kid to try to be like little Johnny, but he like little Billy.
30
he like
seconds,
telling
bro.
jokes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or he like to be athletic. We're not giving our kid. We're not fighting the system enough to say each kid is different, and we're also not giving our kids enough. They don't need to be independent like Beyonce and them, but enough independence to display who they can be, because then you could actually show, because you live longer than them.
Mm-hmm.
You watch how the school system works. You watch how life moves and what maneuvers them into it. But if all you say is, you got that one choice, get your education and go to college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I tell you what, if I had went to college straight out of high school, I would have failed. I was a DC student in high school because I just didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, when I was 28, 29 years old, and I went to Syracuse University, and I was a straight A student, I had to take biology in 10 years, but I was able to get it and grasp it like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we sitting back and asking our kids what's their mindset?
Mm-hmm. Good
What's
deal.
really going on?
Absolutely.
Blaming the school system.
Mm-hmm. Hold right there, brother. Don't go to a hold right there. I'm got to circle around. Got a few more people I need to hit. Captain D. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing blacktastic. How you doing, dear brother?
Hey, doing great as well, sir. Doing great as well. I want to hear your heart on this particular topic, man. The school, America being one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest country in the world, yet the school system is failing so miserably. Captain, what's really going on?
Well, you have to attach education with morality. There's no way you can move from a very illiterate state of being into a state of intelligence or knowing and does not change your moral character.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the educational system of America that's on the decline. It's her morality that's on the decline. When the people no longer serve God, and you can't even mention God in the school.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
So God out the school. But as soon as there's a mass shooting, you can pray. There's something wrong with America in her decline. There's a school system where there is so many, many distractions for our students or for youth today, that to go to the school is not to go to the school to learn. Anytime you're sitting in a classroom, you're afraid of active shooters. You're not putting our young people in an environment for it's safe to learn. As Brother Rico said one time, the school system is the school to the pipe to prison. There's not too much difference in the coming to our community. That when you go into the schools, you got metal detectors. You go into the schools, you got police officers maybe patrolling this in New York with guns. How can for young people learn in an environment where they don't feel safe?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have our young people see that you don't need an education to be able to make it in this world. If you got athletic skills, man, you could be moved at the head of the class. We're talking about your education on the back end. But boy, you shoot that ball.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at our young people when they see the dope dealer and the rapper got more money and they're dumber than a box of rocks.
Yes, sir.
They make it like, man, I don't need no education. Look at Flavor Flav. He's dumber than a doorknob. Look at so-and-so, so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many things when we talk about the decline of the education. And America's education system is so far behind. She's number 5, I think, in her educational system compared to the Asians, compared to the Jews, compared to other people. Why? Because America is afraid to expand her broaden horizon and come out of that white supremacy attitude, because black people in the school system, and even though it may not mean a lot to other people, but I'm not taught nothing about myself. And I think that's very important, because if you don't teach me nothing about myself, then how can I love myself when the image that you portray of me is a negative image? So if we are portrayed in a very negative way, I don't have no desire to get to an education that's more European bent. And that's the truth. It is your. I know more about Abraham Lincoln and George Washington and George Carver. I mean, then Washington, and then Du Bois and Frederick. Even though, hey, it's cool, but I think it's important that a person have a knowledge of himself and have a curriculum that enforces that individual, their culture, their norms. And when you teach a people their culture, norms, then you got a people that would use that education to further their environment and to further themselves as a people.
Absolutely, absolutely. 508-924 508-924-3521 508-924-3521. And Flavor Flav, we love you, brother. We ain't gonna call you dumb as a bag of doorknobs, or we ain't gonna do that to you, Flav. We love you, Flav.
He know Captain Dennis personally. No, he
just act dumb. He just act dumb. He's a little smarter than that. He's very talented too.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, and see, my thing that was to me, that was an inside joke, because like Captain just said, he know Flavor Flav personally, so they got the inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I called the man dumb. I was like, oh man.
No, that's not Flavor Flav, my man. He my man's in them. No, that's my man's in them. No,
exactly.
He's very intelligent. He's very intelligent. They just portray him as a buffoon sometimes.
Exactly. And that's what a buffoon. Absolutely. Badger.
Can I get a word in?
Hicks.
The word in is Hicks.
Yeah, Hicks. What's going on, sir? What's on your heart?
Well, the question was, is education system failing?
Yes, sir.
I was thinking about it. It's not failing. It's doing what it's designed to do. From its very origin, the whole educational system, and rewriting the history by Roosevelt, historically, right? That this system was designed to produce a certain kind of worker, a class of people, and another elite class that would get a critical thinking rather than regurgitating the facts and taught what to think. So there was elite being educated with the ability to plan future. Those different commissions and think tanks that think down the line 100 years, putting things in effect now is going to affect people 100 years down the line. That's the kind of thinking and education they did. But what they did down here was straight simple. Prison pipeline for worker with strife and stress and all the thievery that goes among itself, because they were educated to do that. Children don't learn so much. For me, they don't learn what people are talking about, what they're doing. They learn from watching what people are doing, the truth of what's happening, and that becomes a conflict inside of folks. So the education, actually, who you are and where you come from in your history, not just from Africa, but from this country, being indigenous to this land, that they wrote us out of the history of who we really are. But that's the thing that's got to take place in the house. Now, I believe in this day and time of information, with the internet and information around us, ignorance is a choice now. And the kids know that. And you can't get around that. If you don't know something now, it's because you not put you as a priority to learn it, to know what's happening, to see what's happening around you, the politics, with all the how coincidentally all these shootings take place right around the time when the issues are going to be clearly put in front of the people, to beat people up with threats. You know, they 9/11, so we give away our rights and send away and bomb citizens all over the place. All these things, this rule of law, they tell us that's what we live by. You see as a flaw. You see what the Clintons do. You see what all of these rascals do. So education is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Build the prisons, keep us done.
It's by design.
All right, I spoke enough. Peace.
No. What I'm saying is, you're absolutely right. It's pretty much by design, is what I'm saying.
Yes, it's a plan. Everything is a plan. This all has been a plan. But I think if you focus on just, and from my experience, if you focus on just those parts that are negative, that are bad, rather than looking at the evolution of humanity and the evolution of this experiment, trying to let people rule themselves, rather than some kind of waiting for a savior or Hitler or Trump or somebody to come and save us, anybody. But it's got to be us. we got to build ourselves from a foundation, first of all, right inside our lives. I know when I do this, I'm putting all the things at myself, being more disciplined, being serious about the time, because I'm 73 years old. I don't have that much time on earth, but I got a whole bunch of seeds. I got a bunch of grandkids, great grandkids.
Yes, sir.
And I watch and I see what's happening in the education system now, where they actually in these schools giving people an option of who they are, destroying the very foundation of their sexuality. And so people have always the whole and want to talk about something. One day talk about that. Talk about this LGBTQ, this whole thing.
Wow.
It's all planned. It's to confuse people, get us all divided, not be able to focus on the one thing. And the one thing that we all need to focus on, we need to straighten our lives out.
Absolutely.
Do our relationships in our family, with our neighbors, with our children.
That's
focus
good.
on that. Before you get that straight, you can't even look out and worry about that.
Good deal. Good deal. We're gonna keep this thing going. Got quite a few people that just joined us, and I want to get to each and every one of them. Badger.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you as well, sir. Definitely appreciate your knowledge. Definitely appreciate it. Badger, what's on your heart? Why is the school system here in America failing so much?
Well, there's different versions of school. There's the Common Core stuff, trying to make sure it's fair for everybody. But states started to finally realize that that's not a good idea. Then you got homeschooling, private schools. So it's going to be very school dependent where you send your kids to school. We've homeschooled our two boys since they were born. Matter of fact, I'm looking into getting them into STEM classes and things. So, because so that way our youngest can get into engineering and things like that. So, yeah, some of the schools are interesting and not as good as other schools. Yet, that's the cool part about being a parent. You get involved. If that school doesn't want to really do much, there's a thing called out. It's out something where you can take them out of one school and drive them to another if you don't agree with the school that they're going to. So, and if enough people do that, the school will probably change the way they do things. So this is another situation of we need to be responsible just as much as the school and things of that nature.
Okay. I know that there was a young lady. She actually tried to take her kids out of the school that they were in, and try to put them in a better school system, because she felt that school system was better, and her children was gonna grow more in that school system than the one that she was actually assigned to go to, and she was arrested. They arrested her, and I think they gave her 5 to 10 years or something like that, because of the fact that and her only crime was wanting to give her children a better education.
What state was that in?
That's true.
I can't remember.
And that was in
It was like Michigan or something like that.
Yeah.
Or Detroit or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Was her father? I think her father actually lived in the district.
Yeah, sure did.
Her father lived in the district, so it wasn't like she was using a fraudulent address or nothing like that, or didn't have family in the district. Her father lived in the district. They gave her 5 years. I remember that.
Yeah, gave her 5 years in prison because she wanted to give her children a better educational experience. And we got to do better. Toya with a T, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? And yeah, like I said, you are right. There was a case like that. Like Detroit or someplace like that, young black lady. And I think during like the Black Lives Matter, they revisited it, trying to get her out or something like that. But yeah, you're out. You're right. They caught her with like fraud.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so I think one thing we got to pay attention to is the I got to be careful because, they cut us off. The way of America. Let's just put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they got these departments for a reason. Modern medicine wasn't the only thing that they infiltrated. I don't think we understand that we have to provide people with certain things in order to brainwash them and get them under your control. And once you take care of food, clothes, and shelter, the information that you distribute after that is just easy peasy after that. So when we're talking about America and we're talking about the Department of Education, the Department of Agriculture, the Food and Drug Administration, those are departments that are put in place for a reason to be able to fulfill and carry out whatever rules, laws, and beliefs that the American way want us to. So why would the public school system that's authorized by the who? Department of the what? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we have to think of when we're talking about our American way. We already have our systematic way of doing things. And that system operates through departments, and those departments are here to carry out some things that, they just wasn't armed right. The things that America don't want to face. They don't want to face the fact that they're not telling us all of the information because we're a rise. You know what I mean? So when we keep that in mind, we know that America capitalizes off of negativity. What does America produce?
Right.
Nothing. So if we make money off of our own people who are undereducated, they know the formula to locking you up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're working hand in hand. If we're doing prison to pipeline, then hey, Department of Education school system to the pipeline system. Just saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Goddess, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, everyone.
We're talking about the education system here in America, and America being they say is one of the greatest countries in the world. Why is the education system failing so much?
I think that everybody that spoke on it hit it on the nose. But what I did kind of hear is someone mentioned about the history, that we don't even know our own history to even want to stay in tune, and we learn more about their history or their fake history because it ain't even, a lot of it ain't even the truth now. Because I don't know, I mean, I grew up thinking Christopher Columbus discovered America. I grew up thinking that the heart of civilization didn't started here. It didn't start in Africa. So we grew up with a lot of lies. So that goes back to now with this critical race theory that they're trying to go in and take out of the school system. It becomes a major thing now because now we're bringing out the truth, and then they're scared of the truth, and they're scared of their grandkids seeing them in certain situations. They got different. I want to say it was Rico, didn't you put out something about a book that was out here showing what really went on back in the days and how they treated us? Didn't you put a book on Facebook
about medical apartheid?
It was about all the racial things that went on and how they treated us, how they really actually did us, and they had pictures of it.
Talking about the bullwhip days.
Yeah.
You talking about without slavery.
Right. And one reason why this made me come to thinking was in this critical race theory, they don't want to see their grandparents. They're being able to pick out their grandparents in some of these pictures. How they threw bricks and rocks at the young black girl who was first going to school. They're being able to pick out their grandkids. I mean, their grandmothers and stuff like that. The truth is really starting to come out and hurt them.
30 seconds, sis.
So that right there is major. And I know right now that when you talk about the young lady who's trying to put her kids into another school and everything like that, it's so tough here in Kansas City that I bought a house in a predominant white area, and I was still driving my kids because it was so hard for me to even get my kids into school where I freaking lived at.
Mm-hmm. Hold right there, sister. Let me go to the next person. Everybody, I'm giving everybody 3 minutes. We got Cassandra. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, we're talking about the school system. We're talking about America being one of the greatest countries in the world. They say it's one of the greatest countries in the world. Why? And you're an educator as well, Cassandra. So why is the school systems failing so much?
That's a good question. It's not the teachers, I can tell you that. It's the students and where their mindsets are, because we have some great teachers, and I've said this before. Many of my friends that have taught for years, I taught for 12 years. Many of my friends that taught school for years, they have left the school system out of fear and frustration more than anything else. The kids are unruly. They're disrespectful, a lot of them. This is what I told a friend of mine that was teaching, and she was sharing with me, and she was like, I don't go to school to police people's children. That's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
I come there to educate them, to teach them. But if they will not even sit and listen, a lot of them are so disruptive. And yeah, you can pull them out, and 2 more come in that's going to act the fool. The parents, I know, and you can't put everything on the parents, and I never do that. But the parents are trying, a lot of them are really trying hard. But when you're trying to just keep a roof over their head, food in their mouth, clothes on their back, and then they're being disruptive, and you're getting a call, from school 2-3 times a week. How do you handle that?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the full answer is, but I know that the lack of parents being able to spend time, quality time, and get their kids in check is a huge problem. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, it's a huge problem.
Wow. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother?
Man.
Muhammad, coming to you next.
I'm gonna run out of time just thinking. I mean, I have to agree with Cassandra. Is what I thought about is that there are people that come from different countries on a different poverty level,
Mm-hmm.
come to this country and excel.
Mm-hmm.
They start their own business. They do their own thing. And we got us that have been indoctrinated, I guess that's a good word, into the system that we have here. And the only thing that we're concerned with our children is that they got good tennis shoes.
Mm.
And we're proud of them because they can shake their tail.
Wow.
But they can't pass their grades.
Mm.
They know all the rap songs, but they don't know the ABCs.
Mm-hmm.
And we're proud. That's us. I'm not saying we. I'm saying we as a whole. We have to put it all together because we're in a bucket. I say we are in a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to short this up because I say, you got to know where you got to know where you, and I understand knowing where you come from. I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. But there's some, because of the attitude and the value system that we have, you can tell them all of the history from the very time that their ancestors was brought to the earth, and they'll still be mean and evil and hatred, and they just worry about getting and gaining.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have everything. They watch people prosper in a way that you don't need to be educated. Somebody said that before.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thank
we
you,
follow
Donald.
that trend. over and over and over and over again. And the last thing I'm gonna say is none of them know God.
Wow. Wow.
None of them.
It's, if a carnal mind is a dangerous thing, we don't want to accept that. The end result is you don't know your Creator. You know everything else but that. And you
30
continue
seconds.
in that way, you're going to destroy yourself. I don't care what nobody else says.
Good deal. Good deal. Captain, what's on your heart? Talk to me. Oh, let me see. There we go. I think we got it back. Captain, what's on your heart, sir?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's so wonderful and refreshing to listen to so many people's ideas and opinions of what they see on a certain topic. And when it comes to this particular topic, I am so moved because everyone is saying pretty much the same thing or adding pieces to the puzzle. As one brother said, I think it was BP said, ignorance is a choice. And he's absolutely right. Ignorance is a choice. With all this knowledge and information that is available, we choose not to use it. We have what we call smartphones, but dumb people using them. How the phone going to be smarter than the person that's using it? We're now in a certain mindset. You have, Brother Raheem, educated people that has degrees, whether it's PhD or whether it's bachelor degree, BS degree, and there's a lot of BS out there. And most certainly, children would go to college and they would pick a profession not based upon their ability and skills of desire to do it, but based upon the income that profession brings. You have educated people with degrees, and they don't have no jobs. They have to downsize. They're overqualified. Oh, sorry, Mr. So-and-so, you overqualified. So look at this. You get a degree. You get a master degree, but you don't go and master your profession. You go to a master. You go up under master. You now have put yourself in the slave mentality. Have a master degree, and you can't even master your discipline. You don't go to look to become independent. You go to look to be dependent on giving somebody a job. Sir, could you give me a job, master? I have a master degree. And look at the quality of life in our community. We are the most educated Black people on the planet. It is said you won't find a more educated Black person on this planet than the Blacks in the But with all our education, look at our condition.
Come on.
If the education don't bring us out the condition, then something's wrong with the education.
30 seconds.
Everybody here on this line. Look at Leonard. Look at Leonard. Leonard got degrees. I don't know how many on this line got degrees. But with all our degrees, we can't seem to come out this condition. We can't go back into the Black community and raise the community out of this condition with all our degrees. And then we want our young people to go to school for what? If you ain't doing nothing with what you got, why I got to go to school? I can make more money hustling than you going around here trying to go and get a job as a manager in McDonald's with your PhD.
Wow.
No, we have to take a look at it. It's a reality. You got doctors who got a doctor degree and just as sick as the patient they trying to help. They already are drugged out. They don't even know what sexuality they want to be. You got these people in higher learning trying to teach people that they can't even move above their own personal morality.
Come on. Come on.
It's real, man. It's real. You can put a head in the sand and act like it ain't, but it's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get emotional. I'm sorry, y'all.
Hey, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
It's it's that new blood pressure medicine they got me on.
I understand. I understand, sir. Look at you. Hey, look here. You bringing it. You bringing it. So let's keep doing that. Let's go to Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Leonard, come to you next.
No, I mean, Captain is right. But it has to. We can be in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to be able to teach.
Yeah.
And if we cannot teach, then what is the purpose? The children are out of control. That's bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, I'm not blaming parents. I know that a lot of them are doing the best that they can. But right here in Atlanta, we are constantly having parents say, I need my child out of the school. There's fighting every day. My child is afraid to go to school. Why is that? Why should a child be afraid just to go to school?
Mm-hmm.
I remember the year before I stopped teaching, I was teaching an 8th grade class, and I had a kid. He was being disruptive, kept being disruptive. I spoke to him several times. I asked him, I said, I need you to go to the office because I needed to teach. That's what I was there for.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm not going nowhere, and you ain't gonna make me. Excuse me? So now he has grabbed the kids, my students' attention, and telling me what he's not going to do in my classroom. I said, oh, you're going to leave. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. Let me see you make me. So I'm going to tell you, I'm just not that one. I ain't that teacher. That's why I stopped teaching. So I went to the back of the classroom. He stood up like, he puffed up. I grabbed him and took him and put him outside my door and closed my door. I'm coming back. I'm bringing my boys. We going to do this. We going to do that. I said, listen, don't just bring your boys now when you come back. Bring your mama, grandmama, everybody. Because I don't play that with kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're a child. You're not going to control my classroom. And let me tell you, I had 20-something kids in that classroom. If I had let him get away with that, what was going to happen?
Yeah. It would have been out of control. Chaos.
Everybody would have tried me.
Mm-hmm.
But I never had another kid in that class to try me like that after I stood up to that one kid. And you know what he ended up doing? A couple of hours later, my principal said, you got to call in the office. Ms. Green, the judge said I got put out at this school, that he was going to put me in juvie, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, I'm going to tell you, can I please come back? I said, yeah, you can come back, but what's going to happen? You're going to stand in front of my class in the same way you disrespected me. You're going to apologize to me and my class.
Absolutely.
In front of everybody. Guess what? He came back, he apologized, and I had another problem. But you can't let kids control it.
Yeah. Ain't had another peep out of him. That's absolutely right.
Not another peep. Not another peep.
And look at here, he probably told others, look, don't do it in that class. Not that one. Go to the next class.
Here.
Yes, sir.
I did that in Bible class at the church.
Oh Lord.
I'm telling you, children come to learn in Bible class, vocational Bible class.
Yeah,
that's right. And being disruptive. So I say, get out of here and bring your parent back. And you can come. Whoever brought you here, you tell them to come with you. So when they came back, what I did was allow him to come back and made him help me in the class.
That's
all
right.
they want is attention.
Yeah.
Attention.
That's all they want. But you got to give them the right attention, but you can't let them run you.
Exactly. Right. Absolutely. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
I think that the issue has to be that of truth and proper assessment of the issue. It can't be about how you feel about slavery or anything else. Education is for a specific reason. I don't even support compulsory education. That's one of the first things I would get rid of. I don't believe in putting kids in school that don't want to be there. That's going to be an issue between you and your parents. All this, see, every time we fail, we make an excuse. We make an excuse. Oh, the reason why they failing is because of the way they treat blacks and this. No, that's not why kids are failing or dropping out, or that's not it. It's exactly what Miss Cassandra, as a practitioner, has told you, you're bringing violence and you're bringing crap into schools that should not be there. You're placing responsibilities on the people at the school that they should not have to be responsible for. So you have to address those issues personally. Now, the system itself is not that difficult. All you do is go to school and sit there and take a test and you pass.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you do. If you pay attention, you can do it. It's not a big deal. But when you make it something else, that's when it becomes a big deal. All these people, I can't stand an educated man tell another black man he don't need an education. Why don't he need an education if you have one? To disadvantage him? Is that what you're saying? So if you instill into children that they don't need this education, this is a white man's education, this, that, and the other, what do you expect? How do you think they're gonna go to school and act? Discipline is the number one problem. Has nothing to do with the delivery of education. It's discipline.
No.
If you do not send children to school to learn, why are you sending them up there?
30 seconds.
Is it just a babysitting thing for you? Do you even believe you have a responsibility, or is your kid supposed to just come back a genius and know everything in the world? What's your role in it? What's your expectation for that education? Combined with the teacher's expectations, combined with the students' expectations. If these things do not line up, there will be a problem.
Wow. Good deal. Good deal. Gonna keep this thing going. Toy, you want to talk to me, sis? I see you shaking your head over there.
Oh, some very, very valid points Leonard just made and that everybody's making. You know, but we humans again, we always want the responsibility to be somebody else's, but we don't never want to claim our own responsibility. And I'm just going to throw this out there, right? I'm just me, and I ain't no teacher, but I promise you, if a child get in my presence, I'm going to check them real quick. Because I'm just an adult like that. I'm just a manager, and you can be what you want to be in school, but when you get up around here, I'm going to teach you what it's supposed to be. I walk the streets right now with these little knuckleheads, and I walk with a power that don't try me, and I'm going to tell you what you need to know, because we know we don't need to know them. But as a teacher, for me, when I would go to school, why would you let them run you anyway? Right? But 9 times out of 10, they probably run their parents. But I'm with Miss Cassandra. You're absolutely right. You're supposed to stand your ground at all times. Some of us adults are so scared of these kids, and they like animals. They smell that fear. And they're going to try you, and we're not doing our job. We're not doing our job. We letting them do what they want to do. Oh, these kids, they want to wear. I'll break your back and your mama back too. What's up? Are you kidding me? We are out of order. We're out of order. Nobody wants to lead. Nobody wants to follow. And nobody want to play their role. And nobody wants to assume responsibility. I had a meeting at my job yesterday, right? And the job this, the job that, the job that. No, you make the job. And if you don't do your due diligence, just like with customers, if you give customers whatever they want, what they going to do? Just like a kid. If you give the man or the woman that you're dealing with whatever they want, you don't ever put your foot down, what they going to do? Most people, because humans. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about how some of these parents, right? You're right. Some of these parents don't really care about kids. We all jacked up. We just having kids to get money, and we having kids out of wedlock. That's something to do with it, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. Bad blood. It's a whole lot that go on when we start sending these little things to school and we ain't taught nothing. Just let them grow like weeds. And now at work and don't have the time to do that either. Well, you know what? As a little old fast food worker, I don't have time for old people either, but I stop and take the time and treat them with the utmost respect. I don't have the time. You know what? Disabled people kind of bother me too. They take so long, but I give them the utmost respect and I will do anything to protect them. Pick whoever you don't want to be bothered with, and I'm going to be a human enough in my position to correct them. Period.
30 seconds.
Period. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what we are not doing as humans anymore. We just letting people run around ramp and do what they want to do and then say, oh, well, ain't nobody saying nothing. Well, I'm going to say something. You can say it's not my business. You can say mind my business. If you don't know, I'm gonna teach you. What that man say, you're gonna learn today. So soon as we gain our roles back as who we are and start putting some of this stuff back in order, then them kids will follow. Period. Point blank.
Good deal. Good deal. VP, talk to me, brother. VP, you there?
I'm glad. Hey. Yeah, I'm fighting with the mute button. I'm glad this way is going because this fell into the exact example where I was trying to think of how the education system is good and bad in the model its context it is right now, because it does have a colonialistic effort put on it. But like Leonard said, we can't blame it on slavery, blame it on the black people being disfranchised. I work for Amazon. I do have my BS degree, but I learned by actually trying to go through. When I was in the military, I wanted to do hospitality. I went and got my hospitality degree from Syracuse University, got into the industry, decided that I don't like snooty white folks that with money, because I was up there I was in high-end fine dining restaurants. That don't mean the high-end fine dining restaurants got high-end employees. They usually get them from the street so they can underpay them.
Yeah.
So they bring them in, and these people were treating them a certain way. I understood in myself that in my heart, this is not who I am. I don't care how much you tell me you're going to get paid. You don't mistreat people. Fast forward to where I am now, I'm with Amazon. Amazon actually pays pretty good money for managers. I'm with Amazon, and it's been put in my heart that you teach these people. So I come across this kid. He's a 19-year-old kid. You're not supposed to ride around with your hoodie on. And this goes into where everybody's saying it's how you're raised. He's riding around with his hoodie on this machine. So I tell him to stop, take your hoodie off. He looks me in my face and begins to take off. So I raise my voice, hey, take your hoodie off. He goes around the corner, comes back and comes to confront me. At this point, Amazon has this thing where they don't vet. They don't care who they hire. They just bring them in. So this kid comes to me. He's like, I don't like your tone. I was like, I don't like how you wasn't listening, because that's a safety. You could hit somebody. Your peripheral is messed up. So he goes to try to tell me that the peripheral is looking up and down. Then he goes to tell me how he don't need this job. He's in school full time. Then he goes to tell me, well, he wants a job because he wants to help his mom. I was like, let me tell you something. I'm human. I don't care about this Amazon. I've lived longer than Amazon's been around. There's another Amazon that'll show up. But what you won't do is you won't disrespect me as a man. So then he goes to tell me about his military and how he's brought up and how his dad has his education. His dad went to this and this. And that's when I went into Miss Cassandra. I'm like, look, I don't care about you having a job, man. I don't care about any of that. What I do care about is you being a human.
30 seconds.
That's what's getting lost in this education system. We're sending these kids out here like Tucson brought up. We care about what they wear. So we're teaching these kids how to be creatures of habit. We're teaching these kids how to be Instagram models. And that goes back into what Leonard's saying. You're not teaching these kids how to be educated anymore. You're teaching them how to be society. You're teaching them how to live in a society that's promoting. It does make it makes a lot of sense that we have people coming from different countries, even though we have these grants and these things built up. That's another thing we're not arguing. How come we're paying for so many kids? You surprised how many people, there's more Asian kids, almost more Asian kids in Syracuse University. I'm up here in Connecticut and Yale. They got their own community than they do to back their own people in the communities that's providing for them.
Hold right there for a second.
We don't care about that.
Okay. Hold right there, brother. Got to keep it moving. Let me go to our Hicks. Hicks, what's on your heart, brother?
Yes. Well, you had a good conversation. It made me go back to when I went to high school in Newark, New Jersey. And for me, going to school was going to a war zone. I knew that every day. You know, that was the nature of the environment I was in. But what it had in school, because it was still filtering out a lot of Portuguese and immigrants who dominated school, but now the blacks are moving in, and they still have programs like, you could everything: mechanical drawing, woodwork, welding, machine shop, and you always had the option of taking these courses. But as the things shift, it took away all of these different things. They had I mean, puppet clubs, a golf club, all those things. I didn't take advantage of them. But looking back, I can see how the kids who took advantage of that was the children that came from these sort of religious families. They were either Catholic or a lot of African was in the school, and 70, all the religious people. When I came from what you call a holiness family, but I saw that people that took advantage of this program, that people had a respect for authority, and I always had that. I didn't know where I got it from, but one of the speakers said earlier, it was like in Sunday schools, because in Sunday schools it was like Sunday school was school on Sunday. But you still had you had your family around, you had your auntie probably up there teaching the class, and you had to respect her and respect the rules and respect authority. But the kids who didn't have this inside them, was getting the discipline from home. My father wasn't a perfect father, but he was always there.
Yes.
And I always watched him, and I always had that discipline. I knew if I step out of line too far, someone's going to straighten me out. And go straight up very firmly. But the teacher said that, I agree with her. I worked as a social worker in an alternative school, and I worked with bad kids because I was ex-convict, and I had a degree of respect I got from them. But the thing was that they didn't get disciplined at home. Denzel Washington said one time in an interview, and it's so clear, because they were trying to get a complicated answer. He said, it's the home.
30 seconds.
It's the fathers. Okay. So we go back in history. When did we take the fathers out of the home? All right.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Rico, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome just listening, man. Because once again, it's like been revealed to me the reason why we are stuck in one place, and why we're still going through this cycle, and then there's no improvement. You know what I'm saying? We see good, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge the bad that is, continuing to evolve. Hicks said something earlier, man, to me was the biggest nuke that you could drop. Made this #1 show this morning when he said it's all by design. It is all by design. And so your main question and the main topic is about the part, capital P, capital A, capital R, capital T, the part that schools play in filling out children. See, yeah, it's true. It starts at home. That's been our thing. We've been saying this since I've been coming on this show. We've been saying it started home. It started home. Home training started home.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think Lean On Me, which is based on a true story, factual. He had a bunch of students that showed that they didn't have home training. But he had to come up with a system. He had to use his mind. He had to become an intellectual and say, well, you know what, man, let me get on their level and see why this is happening and see if I can provide some supplement to make up for what they are lacking, and sort of manipulate them into doing what they need to do so we can get in a better situation. I'm doing this for my people. He took some time out to think. He didn't just sit back and point the finger. So, as I'm listening, everybody is right. But what we go wrong at is dismissing other people's right. It did start at home, but man, we done had enough examples of showing why it started at the schools too. And somebody will come right back and say, it's not the school. It is that too. What's wrong with the road? If you really believe that this government that designed this sophisticated system that is still successful to this day made just one angle, or just came with just one angle to get, to make this thing successful, then man, that's the reason why it still works. It's a design. Toya came right back behind Hicks and said that about the FDA. She started naming all these different departments and programs and what they are over, what they have authority over. But when you start talking about designs and how things are going, the lack of home training, that was a cause and effect behind that. Hicks brought up the father being taken from the household. There's everything that we're going through. There is a something that caused this. It ain't no excuse. It's an atmosphere that was created.
Yeah.
That created a behavior. They created a system of survival. I mean, we are educated on here. Some of us got BS degrees and some of us don't. Some of us dropped out of college. But guess what? I do know that scientists did rat studies to see how communities function and how they would function when you gave them certain things and took certain things away from them, oppressed them, kept them restricted from certain things, got them addicted to sugar, got them addicted to drugs. They did all these studies and made rats do what people are doing now.
Wow. Wow.
That's design.
Exactly. I'm coming to you. Hold on.
Now, we really want to solve this problem. We have to accept that every bit of it is a piece of the problem. But if we're talking about schools right now, let's talk about how the schools are failing. Instead of deflecting and saying, nah, it's the parents' fault.
Good deal.
Because when it's time for the parents to get this work, that's when we need to give it to them. But right about now, we don't need to be giving the school no excuses. That's right.
Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
When schools started getting sued for teachers trying to intervene and make sure kids are taught right, when they had their hands tied to what they could or could not do in their schools based on the general public. We don't talk about that. You know how many teachers, still want to do the moment of silence, still want to be able to approach things a certain way. I gave a really good example multiple times. My teachers did everything they could for me, but their hands were tied because they couldn't do nothing else because my parents didn't want to support me. So they did everything they possibly could. They even went out of their way and gave me more advanced books and things like that, hoping I'd be able to get into college by myself because they knew I wouldn't get help. So, yes, there are a lot of times there are teachers in these schools that are doing the best that they can. But let's look at the laws that are holding them back from these politicians that we are allowing to be in the seats that are in these different states or in the government things. So that's why I say it's our responsibility. We want the schools to do better and go back to where they're educating a certain way, or teachers that were like in that movie that Rico was talking about, for them to be able to do the things that they feel they can do for the kids. They need to quit living in fear of being sued or losing their job because one parent isn't going to like what they're doing. So there is a massive collaboration in all of this. I don't deny any of the stuff that's been going on. I've shared multiple times how I was taught growing up. It was wrong. I acknowledge it. I broke the cycle because I'm not going to teach my kids the same things. So it's not just the schools, it's all of us. It's us in our communities, it's us being parents at home, it's holding people responsible. If the community doesn't like a teacher that's teaching a certain thing, then we as a community need to approach the school board and go, hey, we don't like this one teacher.
Wow. Let's go to Curtis. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Man, everybody is making some serious points, but Rico dead on point, man. Because first off, with the school system, you gotta understand funding, man. The way that the school systems is funded is fracking-knackle bullcrap. All right. First off, your school districts are primarily funded by your taxes that is taken, by the taxes that is yielded, right? So if your school district is in a district where the larger percentage of the people in the district own their houses, a part of their property taxes goes to their school districts, right? Then there's also additional federal funding. So if you got a community over here where 90% of the community is renters, they're not paying property taxes. And then a lot of the property taxes in these rental communities are outdated, meaning they're behind. The people who actually own the property is not paying the property taxes until the tax office tells them, look, if you don't pay this tax, we're going to take the house. However, the ownership community, they paying their property taxes when they pay their mortgage. Or they paying their property taxes at the start of the year. Let me go ahead and knock that out now. Then when the federal funding comes down, you got this rental community over here who district may need, if they send, they call it a false balance. If they send $100 million, the district in the rental community needs 60 million. The district in the ownership community, they only realistically, they don't need nothing, but they might need maybe a $10 million buffer for miscellaneous. But then there's arguments when it hit the state legislature's office. The argument is, how you gonna give them 60, the ones who needed 60, and only give us 40? No, it's gotta be fair. So now the money is split evenly, 50-50. But the district where the homeowners at, they didn't need that money. So what they do, they just upscale what they got. So how does that ever balance out?
30 seconds.
You know, that's number one. Number two, like, come on. Like, there's no way in the world we can have a conversation about a failing school system when the design, the natural design of the school system is to keep a certain amount of people poor. I'm reminded of the Tupac Resurrection documentary.
Stop it, Toya.
Tupac told us years ago, the year that he died in 96. Resurrection came out, I think it was 97 or 98. They had an old tape where he was talking, they was talking about the school district. The school that they showed on the actual documentary, that's where I graduated from. I graduated from.
Gotta keep it moving, Curtis.
The largest school in U.S. history all the way up until 1992. School was built in 1972. I graduated from Lake Clifton Eastern High School.
Stay right there.
Clarks.
Curtis, we got to keep it moving, brother. You're well over your 3 minutes. I got to keep it moving. I come back to you. Captain, what's on your heart, brother?
Well, you know, dear brothers, it's very interesting because no matter which subject we pick, we're going to lead back to the home. And most certainly somehow the black man's going to be involved. That's every subject. It goes right back no matter what route we come. Come on. No matter what route we come, that's where we're going to wind up. But let me say this. It is absolutely right. Sister Cassandra is on it. Our young people have a very disrespectful way of how they treat their parents. If you're disrespectful to your mama at home, ain't no way you're going to go to school and be respectful to the teacher. That's all. That just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. Thank you. We have to be very clear that it starts at home. I worked in the school system as well, and I see these disrespectful children. I mean, the teacher spending most of her time trying to tell Johnny to sit in the seat. Well, if you spending your time telling Johnny to sit down, then the rest of the children are deprived of that teacher's attention because that child, when that child act up. It has to be dealt with. It has to be dealt with. It ain't so much that the teacher's problem. The teacher know that child come from a home where they didn't eat. The kids probably got the same clothes on they wore yesterday. There's a lot of issues young people come from, and you send them to school. The parents send them to school like babysitters. It's unfair to put that pressure on a teacher whose job is to be able to give what they believe, and what they give is an education that would life of that. So yes, we have to address that. That is one of the things you see when you go. I believe they need to put cameras in every classroom, because if you go to tell the parent how the child act up, they don't believe it. Please sit down. Sit down. Let me show you something. Let me play. That's your child. That's your child right there disrupting this classroom. And we spend most of our time dealing with him. Now, either
Yeah.
you want it or you're not, but he got to go. So we have to be able to support the teachers. They're not getting paid the kind of money I believe that they're worthy of, but that's okay. That's okay. But I do believe it's a holistic approach. Blame
Exactly.
slavery. We can't blame slavery or why I'm not going back to do that. But what I do blame,
30
I
seconds.
blame that it is the civilized, the teach uncivilized. That's always been the way of the world. It is the learned to teach the unlearned. Each one teach one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tucson, talk to me, brother.
We and I know it's way back then, but we
got some flickering coming from somebody's line. Everybody mute your line so we don't have that flickering. Go ahead, Tucson.
when we was coming up, it was 12 of us, and we moved and ended up across the street that was predominantly a white school in the early 70s. Can you imagine a black family moving to that school in the early 70s? What kind of issues they had? But there was a thing that our parents told us: you don't have to do better than them. And if we had any problems, you saw the house coat coming down the aisle. Y'all remember the house coat? That maybe it wasn't buttoned right, but she was coming to see about her child. Not to act up with the teacher, but to make sure that we was passing our grades. With all the issues about what we want to say to them white folks, that's good, fine. They said, we ain't studying that. You go into school to learn. You do what you have to do, because you better not bring no failing grades home.
Absolutely.
Sure, we had some issues. But they was involved. They would show up. They would do some things. And then they wasn't educated. My dad, I think he would say that he graduated from the 3rd grade. But he was a smart man. He was a wise man. And he would help us because it was necessary.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to say everything. But what I'm saying is, even with all the issues that we had, we still made sure, they still made sure that we would do what was necessary without excuses. We couldn't have no excuse. We had to have a solution to the problem.
30 seconds.
And that's what we did.
Absolutely. Toy, you want to talk to me, sis?
Yeah, and I'm back to that, right? I'm back to that because it's a little bit of everything. It's about influence, right? If you raise a good kid and your kid go out with somebody and they influence your kid, you know how you raise your kid, but your kid is their own person, honey. They're going to do what they want to do. And if they get out there and get caught up, you better not blame the other person. But that's what we like to do. Like blame everybody else except for your kid, but your kid did it too. See, we got the problem. We got a problem facing reality half the time, right? But it's okay, because then we got to take personal responsibility, right? Because when I acted up in school, remember, it was because I was molested. Right, because I was ready to been through all this, so I acted up and I acted out, did that and third, but I wasn't hurt nobody but myself, even though everybody told me the right thing to do. Because it's a 2-fold, 5-fold, 17-fold thing. Everybody, every one of us, and everybody around got something to do with how we all turn out. That one time you talk down to somebody can detriment somebody for life. It's not you can make excuses. Oh, you ain't had no daddy. People with daddy still getting in trouble. Oh, you ain't had no mama. People with mama still getting in trouble. Oh, we forgetting about the devil. That's what we're forgetting about. The devil, he gonna come every which way he can to get you distracted. But it is up to you.
Exactly.
Whoever want to pick this up, it is up to you.
That's good.
Let me tell you something. It don't matter where you put me. I'm finna get it because God didn't woke me up. It's a wrap. I'm getting every degree. I'm reading every book. I'm doing everything because I understand that I deprived myself. I allowed the devil to get me off track and off my game. And I need to build myself up with education and read these books and learn different things. It's more things I need to learn. Forget staying in a box, but that is a choice. It's a lot of people that's not doing it, but this is my choice. So we got to start taking ownership.
Go ahead.
We're not taking ownership, us humans. It ain't about black, white, color. It ain't about religion. It's about ownership. And we don't take that no more. We don't build ourselves up. And then we use all these excuses. And then other people do come and hurt you too. And they do bad things and say bad things. But it's supposed to, what that mean? It don't matter. That's why no more excuses from black people. We've come too far. We've sustained too much. We came from nothing. So I don't want to hear it no more from black people. I'm not talking about white folks. I'm talking about minds. And when people come to me now, my color, I talk about, you know where we came from? Yes, you can. We came from nothing. They took everything from us and we had to fight our way back. So it's in you, but I'm going to need you to dig in there and get it out. No excuses. Go get it and don't go asking. Go take it and rise to the top. Period, point blank. Nobody but you.
Preach, sister, preach.
Good deal, good deal.
That's right. Go ahead.
Willa, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem. Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning.
The floor is yours since we're talking about the school systems and how we could be in one of the greatest, what they say is one of the greatest systems in the world, but yet and still the school systems are failing. What's on your heart?
Yeah, but everybody's like nailing it to the feet, Raheem. Good morning, first of all, because it is our responsibility as parents. You know, I have a nephew. His mother died last year. He's 22 years old, and the most education he had was an 8th grade education, and she put him on SSI. But he didn't need to be on SSI. But she put him on SSI because she wanted a little extra paycheck to come in. So now he's 22. She's passed away, and he has an 8th grade education.
Wow.
But there's nothing wrong with him. So when he moved up here from Springfield with his grandmother, I put him in Malcolm X in order to get his GED. So now he's going to school and he's trying to do better for himself. But yeah, I can see how some children are misled because of parents that don't care about you know, what to teach their kids. Or when I go, this is what you need. So you know, but everybody's just hitting it. It's our responsibility to help our children to try to get where they need to be. And that's my intake on that right now.
Good deal, good deal. We're going to go to Rosalind, then we're going to circle back around to Rico. Rosalind, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're a little bit low, but we can hear you. You're a little bit low, though.
Can you hear me now?
Much better. Absolutely. What's on your heart, sis?
Okay. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I been under the weather, so I might sound a little different. Been doing good. Just wanted to call in and just listen in on the topic or whatever. But I just jumped on, so I did hear a little bit of Miss Toya speaking earlier, and she was, you know, dead on point. But anyway, just I know you're saying like the school system is failing, but I think it goes with both. It goes with the parents and the school system. So it goes hand in hand, right? So like we're doing a community feeding where we feed the kids in the community during the summer, and we literally have to beg the parents to bring the kids. This is free lunch and breakfast. And even when the kids come, I mean, you know, they don't have on shoes. I mean, they don't look up to par. So what kind of example are you setting, you know, for your kids? And then you do have employees that's working in the school system that don't have any type of compassion or empathy for the kids. They're just doing it for money. So we have to get more people involved in the school system that has compassion, that has caring, expertise or whatever. because if not, it's going to continue to fail. I remember when I was going to school, you had teachers that care. You was going to learn regardless. If they had to beat it in you, you was going to learn. But I think it goes, you know, it's not only the school system, but it's the parents as well. So it kind of go hand in hand.
Exactly. Now, how you gonna want to give my children free lunch and not bring it to the house? You gonna give it to them, you might well go ahead and bring it to the house. Ain't no need you talking about you gonna feed the kids and not bring it to the house. Why we gotta go over there and get it?
No, they gotta come in and eat and sit down and eat it. Yeah, but it's good lunch.
But how ridiculous does that? How ridiculous does that sound? You giving them a free lunch, free breakfast, and free lunch, and they gonna say, well, why can't you bring it to the house? How ridiculous does that sound? How ridiculous is that?
That's very ridiculous, right?
It's like, come on now. We're giving you free lunch, free breakfast, free lunch, and you telling me that I need to go just a little bit further and bring it to your door and drop it off. Want me to sit there and feed it to the child too?
And chew it up.
And chew it up. Yeah, exactly. What, Rico? Go ahead, Rico, brother. What's on your heart?
You know, I still see us as being distracted from the issue. And this is one of the contributing factors of why we are still having some of the discussions we're having. You know, we were talking about the young generation out here having children out of wedlock and shooting each other up and rapping about it. We'll say, well, you know what? It ain't no home training. But what if the parents came back and said, where's the schools too? But see, this type of conversation was about the schools, the part that they played. I think we all pretty much know that the parents play a part in this. You know, home training, your environment, school fund, all of these play a part in it. But when it gets down to a point where you want to solve the issue, you know, to a certain extent, when you say, where is the parents too, you sort of take the issue away from the children. So, you know, I said something the other day about people always making a conversation about themselves, but at the same time, you have to refer to yourself sometimes to give an example. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and refer to myself this time. My son's mother has no type of interest in my son's education. So I am going through the family court system just to have access to him, to be a father, to guide and mentor him, to provide for him, to have a relationship, or even just to know how he's doing in his health or education. And I went and I found out, man, that my son done missed close to 40 days in the second semester. If not more, I think it was more than that. So you know what his report card looked like. When I first caught on to it and I got access to his school portal, I started seeing what was going on. I was like, well, wait a minute now. It's one thing for his mama to allow him to sit up and make grades like this and allow him to miss school. This is what woke me up is one day I talked to him and he said, Dad, I didn't go to school today. So why? It rained. I like to lost it. Wait a minute. You mean I'm paying child support? You ain't got a raincoat or umbrella or bus up? You live right by the school? That ain't no excuse. I already know what's going on. I finally got access to that portal. So as I started seeing what was going on, I had my questions about what his mama wasn't doing. But then I had other questions about why the school system was allowing this to happen when I know they had other resources in place. So I started calling the counselors and the teachers. And they were telling me the efforts that they made, and some of them made the minimal effort. Some of the teachers made no effort to try to find out what was going on. But then as I talked to the counselor, I found out, well, you know what? She's responsible for about 500 students. And so I asked her, I was like, well, why didn't y'all send the resource officer to the home? These are excessive absences. He's been acting out of class, getting kicked out of class. Why didn't the resource? Excuses.
Nobody cares.
But see, they were her reasons. Well, I have 500 students that I'm responsible for, and it's hard for me to keep up with them. And there's so many of them being unruly and doing the same thing as your son is doing. It's pretty much an epidemic.
Wow.
I get that. That was her reason. But I can also call that an excuse. We use that term loosely, you know what I'm saying? Not just on this panel. But it's not an excuse. She actually gave a legitimate reason. She does have a lot of students that she's responsible for that's pretty much going through something going through. So as a human being, it might be a little hard for her to make sure that she could cover all the bases that she needs to concerning him. But I had so many questions from the principal to the superintendent of the region I mean, man, I done had meetings, Zoom calls, and everything. When I tell you, up and down the line, everybody on there is lacking and dropping the ball and only doing, you can tell they're doing the job just for the money, the zeros. BP hit on that earlier. They're doing the job for the zeros, and at the same time, their hands are tied. So it's a combination of factors.
Good
but
deal.
for us to actually fix some of these issues, we have to stay focused on what we're speaking of.
Okay.
Because if we always continue to keep going back talking about the home training, then the school will never get fixed.
Okay.
And I'm
Stay right there,
telling you,
Rico.
from the
We
phone
gotta-
call that I made, I saw the crack. I saw the ball being dropped.
Good deal.
I corrected them and I ain't gonna say chastise them, but they had to answer up on some of the things that they didn't do, and they had the resources to do it, and actually was obligated to do it, and they didn't do it.
Okay, hold right there, Rico. We gotta keep it moving, man. Let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Well, getting back to the school, I can tell you, the school that I worked for was a private school, all black school, and we worked with kids that had been put out of public schools around Metro Atlanta, and sometimes getting parents to just come in or talk was like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought them there because they had no other options, because the school district has said they cannot go to Fulton County, Gwinnett County, nowhere. So as a private school, we could take them in. We took them in. Just getting the parents to participate was like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
You set up a conference call, a parent-teacher conference call, they don't call. You set up a meeting, they don't show up. You say, okay, they say, well, I'm working. Okay, well, can we meet before you go to work? I'll come in early, or I'll stay late. It's just so much that as a teacher that we can do. And I spent more money in my school, and I'm just being real, almost than I spent in my own household, because I was lacking what I needed. So I don't know, I feel like most teachers, because you don't make no money teaching. I don't know no school district where teachers are getting good money. I don't know, nowhere that I know, and if they are, God bless them, because for most teachers, they're not making any money. They do it because they want to educate our children. But it's a battle now, and many of them are leaving the education field and going into corporate America.
Yep. Walking away from teaching, walking away from it. Public citizen, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you all doing today?
Hey, doing good, brother. What's on your heart? I know you've been listening for a minute. What's on your heart?
Yeah, a lot. So like Sandra said, there's a huge teacher shortage right now, and it's a hard job, really hard. Kind of building on what Rico said, I have kids who they missed like 60 days this year, and that's a lot. Out of 180 days in the school year.
Yeah.
It's not. These are like one Black, one Hispanic, one Filipino. So it's not like a single race issue. But like since this is predominantly Black Friday, Black Talk, I posted an article there about how certain school districts have implemented policies that penalize school districts if they suspend Black students. And I understand why they did that, because I think some of the schools do have a problem with race, and I think some teachers and administrators maybe have a bias against Black students. And but it goes deeper than that. My school is very mixed. We have maybe like 10% Black, and just all over the place. And you name it, we have it, which is cool. I really love that about it. But one thing I've noticed about a lot of Black students is they come with often I'm stereotyping here. Often they come with a mindset that they're going to encounter racism, and they see it where it exists and where it doesn't exist. I've been called racist by black parents, by black students. One of my students who's been absent, 60 days this year, his mom didn't like come out and say it, but she's kind of implying that I wasn't being fair to her son because he's black. And it's like it's hard. That's really hard to deal with, and I understand where it comes from. I get it. I get like this country has a huge race problem, and and I don't know what the solution to that is. Some places have tried it's weird. They're going back to segregation. They're going back to all black schools. So I guess their thought
30
is
seconds.
that maybe a white teacher or like me, a mixed teacher, can't fully relate to a black student. So they're given like an Afrocentric curriculum or something along those lines, which I don't know. Maybe that's good. I don't know if that's good. Is that where we're going? Are we going to back to segregation to solve problems? I don't know. To me, it seems weird, but black students aren't doing well. In general. I mean, at my school, we have some amazing black students who are doing fantastic.
Okay,
but
hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, brother. I gotta move on and keep this thing going. My thing is, I don't want to have a situation where we paint with such a wide brush and we paint all up with one brush. But I think that this right here, this moment that we're in right now, is for our listeners is a amazing teachable moment. It's a teachable moment for our listening audience right now. Muhammad, what's on your heart?
I like my man what he just said. I think teachers don't see color. I think teachers' greatest enjoyment is to be able to take the knowledge that they got and watch that student advance. That's a wonderful feeling to know that you had that person under your charge and they was dumb. I mean, not dumb. They didn't know. They was ignorant. And you watch that challenge. From where you teach them, the time you spend with them. Sister Cassandra said it easy. Teachers don't teach out of money, they teach out of commitment. And that's why the money thing ain't never been a problem with them. And the beautiful thing about a teacher is, I don't care where you rise up in life. If it's not for a teacher, you wouldn't be nobody. Teachers are those who give the knowledge and their time to advance a human being. Man, that's a good feeling. And I believe that when a white teacher is dealing with a black, he gets that same feeling to be able to take Rollo, whose mother got issue at home and ain't spending no time with Rollo, and Rollo come to school and that teacher see his condition and he's showing that child love, they're showing that child kind, and then move that child up the ladder and spend the time that the parent don't spend to get Rollo to the next stage of his development in class. So I don't believe teachers are racist. I do believe, because of the politics of society, when they did desegregation, when they believed that the best way that black people to get a quality education is put them in a class with white students, I thought that was terrible, because now the schools it's desegregated again. It's segregated again. Now it's black schools, white. As he said, 10% of the population was black. Well, that's good. And he made and I don't want you to feel bad what you said. When you said that some of them come with the attitude that they will be victims of racism. Why? Because they're victims of racism when they leave school. So they wonder, is this teacher going to teach me because I'm black, or not give me the knowledge because or they're going to not see no color and give me what I deserve? The challenge of every teacher, I salute anybody on this line who's an educator, because I know your value, and hang in there, man, because we're living with a society that these young people are jumping over so many obstacles. If you got a student at all, remember, that's your handiwork. Thank you.
Exactly. Willow, what's on your heart, sis?
I'm just looking at Raheem how they've taken so many things away from the schools because of funding. I remember they used to have the counselors in school to help the students if they were struggling. From an intimate standpoint, you could go talk to somebody. A lot of schools been decreased the amount of counselors in school. I know, like here, we got a school called Austin High School. That's the school I told you where they have the gate around it. And a lot of people didn't want to send their kids to that school because they didn't believe that they got a good education, you know. But then you got a school called Whitney Young, and you got a school called Westinghouse. Westinghouse was a school like Austin. What they did was they turned it into a college prep. So they just took a few schools in Illinois to, should I say, enhance it based on your GPA. So they are trying. The government, I think they are trying to do something to help us, should I say, as parents, to become better, so our students can become better and excel in what they're doing. And they also used to have PTA meetings. They took that away. They don't allow them to do that in the schools where we go to now. So I was just looking at a lot of the schools that we have in Illinois and the state where the government is trying to assist the school in funding.
That's good. That's good. Rosalind? Rosalind? While we wait on Rosalind, Toy, you want to teach me, sis?
Hey, I'm gonna open up the school, and the parent and the kid got to come. Cause, honey, apparently we just, I mean, you know, the power of prayer, man. Because I got a headache just listening. Because we all know, but we still keep going in the same direction. Let me just say this. I don't have no kids, but my nieces and nephews, I've always let them know you must get educated, period. I'm not telling you how to do it, but what I'm telling you is you need to be educated. Because if you a dummy, I'm going to be all on you. I'm letting you know. And sometimes you got to pray because kids are going to do just like us. It's a lot of stuff our parents didn't know we did as kids. A lot of ways we acted, parents didn't know we did as kids. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of different variables that we're not looking at right now. There's so much that goes on in some of these homes and some of the minds of the parents that we can't even fathom because we just are who we are and we come from where we come from. So we really don't know. But at the end of the day, again, I just told my nieces and nephews that I always felt like it is my responsibility to teach you before the world does. To be the first person that informs you of everything that I know in my head and what I don't know, like my father did me, I'm going to need you to go out there and do it. And I set a standard and an expectation. And I wish you would say, Auntie, you ain't go to college. That ain't what I'm talking about. You finna go, though. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm going to go back to we don't take our rightful place. Last example, as a food manager, there's a lot of places where food people, oh, the excuses, people got to do this, people do that. But let me tell you, when you come work for me, there's a standard. And if you don't want to abide by the standard, you got to kick rocks and get up out of here. And we don't have standards anymore. And we don't influence people to be their best. I've had parents come talk to me about their kids. Had to stop them in their tracks. Your child work here. When I get done with him, he gonna be a man. I'm not gonna let him ask me for nothing. He gonna go get what he want out of life. And then when you reiterate that to them, it's like, oh, okay, I got it. But the parents don't have that in them. You understand what I'm saying? So again, we gotta remind ourselves, for those of us that have it, for those of us that's leaders, we got to stand up and lead and take the rank because so many of us are falling by the wayside and just can't. So like I said, when I open up a school, that's why I'm getting all these degrees, because you're right, somebody got to do something. The parents got to come to you and your kid so we can go ahead and break this down, because you got homework you need to do. If your kid is at a certain place, and the kid going to be the kid, and we going to all learn today.
And don't do your child homework and take it to school and both of y'all get an
That's
F.
right. That's right. That's what they do. Fill out their applications and stuff. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You just got your kid fired. They both need to learn.
Exactly. Badger, talk to me, brother.
I'm actually working towards something similar to Toya, but I'm focusing on further education and teaching of morals and responsibility of being a human being. There's a lot of mental health issues in this society. You know, most of what I heard today is blaming one, blaming another, doing this and doing that, and My mentality is we are just as responsible as the next human being.
Mm-hmm.
We.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a nutshell, like I said before, I'm homeschooling my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told other parents, hey, we're homeschooling. If you want us to help teach your kids, just let us know. We'll make time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm disabled because of my spine and other things, but that doesn't mean I can't help my community. That doesn't mean I need to be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I help people all the time. So, and I still, when my kids are asking me all these questions and stuff, I teach them, or I teach them why I think the way that I do and why I live the way that I live.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the communities I've been around or gone through and things like that, there ain't a lot of people that's like me and Toya and Leonard and things like that. There
Mm-hmm.
really ain't. It's like everyone is like so wrapped up in their self or wrapped up in feeling anger and a, a lot of negative emotions that it's hard for them to walk forward.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, and yet we are also responsible in a way for that too. If we stand there and do nothing, we are just as guilty
Mm-hmm. That's
for
good.
our kids not having a better future.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
I think a lot of people express a lot of concerns.
Mm-hmm.
However, like you say, you can't lose focus of an objective. What does a good education look like to you?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, what does it look like to you? Some of y'all think y'all kids gonna know everything when they get out of high school. That don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm for creative learning environment, positive learning environments. So education to me is just that. It's just education for people who want it,
Mm-hmm.
not for people that don't. So most education criteria when we talk about a school is failing how?
Let me ask you this question. If it's discovered that a child is in school not because they want to or they're trying to learn, let me stop the time, or that they're trying to learn, or if they're not in there for that purpose, what should happen to that school if they are disruptive or they just a body just sitting there? What should happen to that student?
Send them home. Send them home. That's where they're supposed to be if they don't want to be in school at all.
Mm-hmm.
Where else would they be? See, that's the
Can I ask
issue.
Leonard something?
So compulsory education is what we do here in the United States, and it
Mm-hmm.
should not be compulsory. In other countries, individuals who usually go to school are usually chosen. Some of them, especially the brightest and best, are given education opportunities. You have some places where females are not allowed access to as many education resources as the males are.
Mm-hmm.
So people do education differently. And people also have to understand education is a function of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Your state is the one that determines how education is administered. That's
Mm-hmm.
per the Constitution of the United States. The federal government provides funding to states, and then states decide what to do with that funding.
Mm-hmm.
So those issues people have to understand that issue. The president could want everybody to be educated at the same level, to learn the same things as much as he wants to. But if your state don't think the same way, they'll administer education the way they want, with or without the funding
Mm-hmm.
from the federal government.
Okay. Okay. Somebody said, who was that said they wanted to ask Leonard a question?
I wanted to ask Leonard a question, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Brother Leonard, you're very, very knowledgeable. The question I'd like to ask you: how do you measure a teacher's ability to teach? In other words, there's a lot of functional literacy. When I grew up, if you was a problem in the school, it was easy for the teacher to just pass you to get you out of her class, and that means that they are not showing they have the ability to teach and train young people. How do you measure the success of a teacher ability to teach. I mean, if we're going to deal with teachers, what would be your criteria to say this is a good teacher, this is a bad teacher that we're dealing with in the school system?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't characterize a teacher as good or bad. That's one thing. All teachers are qualified to teach, else they wouldn't be teaching. That's usually, and if you have states that allow anybody to walk in and teach, that's the issue in whatever state that may be. But most states have criteria for teaching. So if you come out of one of those schools of teaching, you've learned everything about teaching. Now, how you improve is by using that experience combined with further education that makes you a better teacher. The reason why you don't have PhD teachers is because PhD people want more money. So you're not likely going to have a teacher teaching in a public school a lot of times with a PhD. So they have used certain things where the education of the teacher, but one, like say, for instance, if I grade one teacher, and this is why most people are against merit pay when it comes to teaching, is because if I'm a great teacher and all my students do well, should I be compensated more than another teacher? These are issues that people have when it comes to these teachers ain't no good. I know in my school district, we get a letter every year that attests to the fact that they only hire qualified teachers to teach our students. And at any time, we have the right to check their credentials and those types of things. We get a letter from the school for that.
Then remember when Malcolm said that when he was in school, the teacher, he told the teacher he wanted to be a lawyer, and the teacher said, "Oh, no, Malcolm. Our people will not hire you, but you'll make a great ball player." Now, when I talk about that, remember, there are some teachers, I know they're all qualified. I hear you, and I didn't mean bad or good teachers. I meant there are some teachers that does not really further the individual's education. And it could be because, number one, they're upset about the school that they're being put in. They may be upset about how the parents see them. I was just mentioning there are those kind of teachers. They're very few now. They're very few, but they do exist. And that's the kind of teachers that does not further the child's education, but try to get rid of that because that child may be deemed a troublemaker and that child is creating a problem. That's all I was mentioning, not that they're not qualified. I'm sure that's how they became a teacher. But there are teachers that would tell you, "Oh, no, you'll make a good sports player." Now, that's what Malcolm said. Now, that may have changed. That mostly may have changed. But at the same time, we do have schools where you have teachers who are facing the challenges of dealing with unruly students and have a parent that kind of charge them of not doing their job. So you're mad at the parent because your child is coming to the school, and now you charging me because I'm not a good teacher when your child is very unruly and disrespectful. It's hard for that teacher to ignore that. They could either do things, be patient and continue to give that child the quality education, or just say, "You know what, ma'am, you take your child, you get out of here. I tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to move the man on up the ladder."
Absolutely.
That's all I was mentioning. That's all.
Let me keep this thing going. Let me keep it going. I want to go right now to Curtis. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother? Curtis, you there?
I get, yeah, I'm right here, man. I get what everybody is saying, everybody making valid points, and I think we're getting to a point where we could probably come up with a solution, but constantly shifting the blame ain't gonna give us a solution. Because one, and I love what Cap just put out there, because one, it is, I'm a strong and fervent believer of this one thing right here. Whatever you teach at home has to be reinforced in the community. Toya said something earlier that really struck a chord with me when I thought about my own personal education. And God has blessed me because I'm a fellow Orangeman too, my brother. God has blessed me that I could actually see life through the theater outside of my hood, outside of my environment, outside of my understanding of what life was. But everybody don't get that option, right? And I'm reminded of when I taught my boys African American history. Do you know that for each of my boys, I had to go to the school at least at a minimum 3 times to defend the true history that I had taught them? I actually had a teacher who was teaching the students, for example, who was teaching the students that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King hated each other. This was a part of the teaching. So when a group of kids came to see the meeting, I literally had one of my kids pull me up and say, Mr. Kirk, that story is a lie. And I said, well, why'd you say that? And she looked me right in my face and said, because they hated each other. Well, where'd you get that information from? My history teacher. So I am a strong and fervent believer in what everybody's saying. Okay, it started home. But if it is not reinforced in the public, what you are teaching them at home has a propensity and a chance to be portrayed as a lie. And now you looking like you're teaching the lie.
Well, Curtis, that's exactly what I just pointed on, though. You took the time to go to the school and challenge it. Most parents do not do that.
Hold on, Badger. Listen, you got parents that are challenging every day. You just had a situation
30 seconds.
right there in DeKalb County where the councilwoman said, look, if we want to address the needs of our African American and brown populations, we need to take a look at the curriculum for the history classes for which we have set up now, because they are not accurate and they're not teaching a community that they play a part in our American system as well as everybody else. Not only did she speak up, the councilwoman, but the community showed up, and I was impressed.
Good deal. Got to keep it moving, Curtis.
Go DeKalb County, go.
Yeah, good deal. Got to keep it moving. Absolutely. Got to keep it moving, brother. Got to Ibrahim. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
You been listening to us?
No, I just started listening, so I'm just gonna. I'm on this time. I'm gonna wait around till next time.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Let's keep this thing going. Let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart, sis? Cassandra, you there? May have lost Cassandra there. Tucson, talk to me, brother.
I thought my name was Jimmy for a minute.
Yeah, Jimmy. You Jimmy. You Jimmy.
Look right here. My son was the baby boy. He was pretty good in coming to play football.
Mm-hmm.
And his coach told me, says, you know, the only way you're gonna make it to college. That's why we gotta. Sometimes our children make some decisions that are odd, but it's their decisions and it makes sense, and it goes against the grain. He says, you know, the only way you're gonna get to college is that you continue to play football. He said, well, I quit.
Mm-hmm.
He went anyway. But see, that coach, teacher, whoever he was trying to manipulate his mindset, telling him what he couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. We allow other folks to dictate whether we excel or whether we fail.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Now, who's real? I know the children and parents and community and anything else that's involved in the kid's life have a point about it or has some influence. But we all have to get together and be involved enough to whatever decision the child or is made for the child is best for it, regardless of what somebody puts in their ear or has out there to cause them to want to or to fail or pass or exceed, because we do that on the job every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you when the last time you was in the workforce, but there are some people on the job that they'll get you to train somebody
Yeah.
that don't know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Before you know it, after you train them, then they're giving you instructions, and they don't know their tail from a buttonhole.
Come on now.
I'm just saying.
Wow. Toya with the team, what's on your heart, sis?
So while we're still talking about, we're piggybacking still about the school,
Yes.
right? Have we discussed the United Daughters of the Confederacy?
No.
No, we haven't discussed that.
Mm-mm.
Again, we're leading back to
Toya,
systematic.
hold on, Toya,
Yes.
hold on. You
Yes.
wasting your time because I done brought it up before, and it don't go nowhere.
Well,
I know what you're fixing to bring up about that Southern curriculum. Guess what? It ain't fixing to go nowhere. You probably fixing to bring up that about Miss Bankhead. It ain't fixing to go nowhere. But you go ahead, because they do need to hear this.
That's the point. Well, again, so if we don't know about it, we need to read more. That's another reason on why there's no forward movement,
Mm-hmm.
because we're still operating within the guidelines of the American system, and then we're trying to combat the American guidelines with the American system, and that's a no-go because it's not for us, and that's why we keep kind of missing where we going, because it's not for us, and they made it clear, but we still keep trying to get back into the system, when at the end of the day we got to go back with all of the things that's against us. It's up to us to make sure that our children are educated, whether it be on how to have etiquette, how to have manners, how to receive information, how to not wait on information, how to dissect information from being wrong and true. There's so many multitude of things still that we ourselves don't even find out the information, but telling our kid to do it and then wonder why the kid don't do it. It starts with you. Until the head of the household, or whoever the leader is, until we get back in alignment, ain't nobody gonna do nothing until we bring this thing back in. If we didn't start it off right and come back and correct some of these things by doing it, we're gonna continue to see the same problems, because like Rico just said, he done talked about it before. The information is there. We haven't made no forward progress. Whose issue is that we made no progress? Is it still theirs or ours? And I truly believe with the information that's here, it's ours.
Mm-hmm. Ibrahim, you got your hand up?
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about. I know me and you have talked about this a long time ago.
Yes.
History.
Exactly.
And I think the way that we tell history stories is also centered on one period or another. People don't want to expand their knowledge of the history of Black people in America, because one would tell you they will hop on the idea that we were slaves. We all came here as slaves, right? And one would say we all came here as free people 70,000 years ago. Well, both are true. But the problem of it is that we don't get an understanding. We ignore so much of our history. The first thing you hear of the intellectual, 1619. Now that's a lie. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard, because it was more like 1500. And we got right down to the oldest city in America, St. Augustine. Can prove all that a lie. And if you read the whole story about 1619, those slaves were stolen off a Spanish ship that was destined for Florida or South Carolina. You know what I mean? Or Georgia, right? And they were taken up to the Eastern colony, not America, a British colony, an organization, not even a colony, an organization that was called something. But see, we ignore this history and how we got here, and the importance of it, and the things that we built that are still being exposed as we speak. And even the modern day history, we ignore things. We want to be comfortable with hearing one thing and we go with it. We don't hear about Abernathy, Reverend Abernathy. We don't hear about the lady, the cotton picker there, Lady Cotton Picker. I can't think of her name right now. But we don't think about other people. So we don't know our history. And right now, Jay Johnson is going to be sentenced for 27 years. I don't know if he's been sentenced yet or not. And he ran for president against Trump and Hillary Clinton. You know, these are important people and things in our lives, have done things in our lives that it's going to disappear every day. And when people talk to me and tell me what the history was in the 60s, they don't want to hear what I saw. They don't care about what I saw. They don't care I was part of that history. You know what I mean? So we really have to open our hearts to understand what the history was telling us, what the history do. And to say our ancestors, I can't say my ancestors failed me, because the very reason my survival, I'm here today talking to you, is because of my ancestors. And they say the ancestors stopped fighting, or we stopped fighting, we had a war. Look, I'm here, I'm still fighting.
30 seconds.
My daddy before me, my daddy before him, my daddy before him, on and on. I can trace my family history back to 1700. He in Georgia on both my mother and father's side of history. And by the way, reparations has been approved in California. They trying to decide it. So any of y'all that trace y'all family here before 1900, 1900, before 1900, then you have a part of that reparation. All right, I'm through.
Good deal.
That's
Good deal.
history.
That's history. I heard you, sir. We're gonna keep this thing going, man. Let me go to Public Citizen. What's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, it's a lot of really interesting conversations, comments. I forget who said it. I think it was Leonard a while back, about like, what is education? So that's the kind of the crucial point. And Toyota and others have touched on it. It's, it means a lot of different things. So history is extremely important. I, as an educator, I do apply critical race theory to my pedagogy, but I do not promote any political ideology. It's inappropriate. It's race and racism and white supremacy and all the rest of it is a fact of reality. But a lot of people aren't as kind of based as I am. I'm obsessed with this topic, talk about it every week. I write about it. I listen to people. Most people aren't on kind of on my level. So I worry about people. I've seen videos on YouTube of people just saying the most absurd things. Right-wing people, left-wing people, all kinds of stuff. So, education is more than just one subject. There's a spiritual component to it, I believe. Some things are just universal. It's beyond race. It's beyond race. It's about being a human being and being a good human being, so that's a conversation we need to dig into, like, what is a really good education. But as I said in the chat, as long as the kids are getting the basics, learning how to read, write, do math, talk, listen, like we listen to each other on this show, and we're educating each other right here. This is education. Just like Kurt's child having a different point of view than the teacher, that's great. We need to listen to each other. Now the teacher is saying, no, you're wrong, and I don't want to hear your opinion, and I'm the expert around here. That's not cool. That's not okay. Yeah, I think you gotta go deeper into what is education.
Absolutely.
Raheem.
Yes.
I just wanted to, really quickly, if I can, go back to when it comes to education. I think that we have become so cookie cutter in education that we're forgetting that children learn differently.
Yes.
Everyone doesn't need, as far as I'm concerned, to go to college. I think that if we would get back to more vocational training, mechanics, auto mechanics, all these different things, new things, robotics, auto mechanics, construction, I think if we would start teaching a lot of those things in like middle to high school, some kids may need to just learn a trade. That was awesome back in the day. Everybody could come out with a trade. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I think if we stop everybody is not going to go to Harvard, Yale, HBCU. They're not built for that. They don't want that even. So why not stop doing cookie counter? Find out what that child has what their interest is, and then try to direct them in that way. So if it's a vocational school, let them do vocational school. If it's music, let them focus on that. Whatever their interest is, I think we would get much better results, especially from children, you know, in the hood. Because I think a lot of times they feel like, you know, I don't want to do college. It's some kids that they want to do college.
They're not being heard.
But
They
it's
feel
a
as though they're
whole
not being
bunch
heard.
that don't.
Yeah, they feel as though they're not being heard
There's
at
a
all.
whole bunch
Yeah.
that don't want to. Yes, but we're not paying attention.
Wow. Rico, let me come back to you, brother. What do you say to that, man? And Cassandra hit a good one right there, man. Every child learns differently, and there cannot be no one cookie cutter approach to teaching these children, because everybody have a different levels and everybody learn different. What do you say to that, Rico?
She's telling the truth. I mean, ain't nothing else I could do but co-sign and agree with that. I mean, if she was lying, I mean, you know, I would come with some type of way to try to deflect or deny that she's telling the truth. But, you know, sometimes the truth is the truth is that along with other factors. You know, so now with me agreeing with that, I got to go back to this other point that I want to make, man. You know, the first time Curtis answered the question, he answered it. He gave you 4 different reasons, and then we come up with other reasons why the school in particular has failed our children. And so, you know, man, you know, like I always thought about when I was young, man, we had some teachers that had great control and order over their class, and then some teachers didn't. And some of these teachers had so much control, order, and respect to the point to where the rest of the teachers might come to this teacher to discipline the students in their class that didn't want to act right. For some reason, this teacher demanded and got the respect of all the students. Even the principal knew Miss Joshua ain't no joke. And so she was able to get some out of these same unruly students that other teachers couldn't. And that always stood out to me. But I always remember sometimes these teachers that did have respect and order, they would tell certain students to take names when they left the class. And even though those students that acted up would not act up because they didn't want to deal with the consequences from that teacher. You know, but see, I also remembered how when my sons were young, I went to the school and I would ask the teachers every now and then, you know what, I would just talk out of imagination, but sometimes this is a visionary thought. I wish I could come up here on my days off and sit in the class all day just to see what my son do. And I did it a couple of times. I didn't sit all day, but I sat long enough, caught them off guard doing things they didn't want to do, watching them act uncomfortable, but also watching the other students hold themselves in a certain manner. And the teachers will come back and say, well, all of my students acted right today because they saw you in here today, Mr. Jackson. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? It's crazy because when I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, I was looking at CNN one morning after I got out of work, and across the bottom of the ticker, I saw the name of my high school come across. And I was like, wow, Oxford High School going across the bottom of the ticker. And the news said that Oxford High School football coach earns $175, well, it may have been $125,000, $25,000 salary. Becomes the highest paid educator in the state of Alabama. I said, wow, well, that's a real big jump in standards, values, and priorities. They must have a real strong priority in athletics, but what about the rest of these educators?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think about the funding. Willa came back and said it, Curtis said it, I said it, and people keep overlooking that. Funding is still a big part of it because when you got teachers that teach for a passion,
absolutely,
like public citizens, you have teachers that teach for a passion, it gets to a point to where that passion still won't pay the bills. Their heart still won't pay the bills on top of the stress that they're dealing with a whole bunch of students from alternative schools or that need to be in alternative schools. But what if they see, I'm a visionary. I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What if they actually did fund schools properly the way they funded prisons? Fund schools properly, create jobs where you can have a parent or 2 in every classroom, such as like a chaperone or a monitor, because everybody knows that a parent, a real concerned parent, just like a real passionate concerned teacher, will be up in that school for the right reason.
Absolutely.
And they can pay them, that way those parents can be around their children and at the same time be involved, like Toya said, because this is an idea I had years ago. But then after the school shooting, they would also protect those children with a little bit more fervor, with a little bit more
ambition. They would be willing to protect and stand up and stop a school shooter if it's their children. They up in their paid to monitor and supervise.
Good deal. Hold right there, Rico. Got to keep it going, man. We actually at 10 o'clock. I'm gonna touch a few more people before we get out of here. Captain, what's on your heart?
Well, you know, I like to share what we have over 35 universities of Islam in our major mosques in every city. We take our young men and we bring them to school from in the morning to afternoon. We do not have the men, young boys, in the same classroom with the girls. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us you got to separate them because you don't want them in the same classroom. As they come into them through their nature, they'll become distracted. It works better. We have our young boys come with a suit on, and they get an education, but the education is reinforced with their religious principles. So we don't have a lot of problems with discipline because we have a dean of students. There's a male dean of students with the young men. And them young men not only are taught education, but they're reinforced of their religious belief, which makes them more strong in society, and they wear suits. Same way with our females. They come in the afternoon, and they're reinforced with the education, but they're reinforced with the moral principles of being women. So we have to be able to say, now that's not everybody, but if you're going to teach equality, if you're going to give quality education, it must be backed up with morality. I don't care how you cut it. You can give them education, but if you're not giving them morality, if you're not giving them principles of what they say they believe, that's why the Catholic school, and even though it has its issues, has always been the head of those Catholics. So we have to begin to start saying, sure, you can give them to the public educational school, but why would you put your kids in the school where God is not even talked about? And if you talked about God, violating church and state. But then when you kill somebody, let's pray. So we got to be very clear, man. You know, you got the right to take your child and put them wherever you feel they're going to get a quality of education. We can't fix a broken system, but I can't make a new one. And that's it. If we don't like what they do, create a new system. That's all. And then make that designed to teach your children morality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
Oh, I'm glad, you know, people talk about solutions and things like that, because that was my graduate work, education. And, you know, I brought out of that a demographic educational enrichment project. And what that project does is it focuses on certain things while providing a education. And it has different components in it, which addresses social cultural factors that affect academic achievement. This is not really designed for public school, but what it does is designed to assist those with issues with public school, and also serve as a longitudinal research project on education, because it evolves, it changes, it has to adapt, but the supplements have to adapt. Public education itself is just that. It's for the public, and it only asks you for basic input when it comes to what they're trying to provide. The issue is those socio-cultural factors that you're sending your kid to school with. So if you need specialized education for your children, it's your responsibility to create that. Ain't nobody creating 100 schools just because you think your child should learn a different way. That's not a best path.
Exactly.
Public school is very general. That you go in, you get that simple education. Like, people come from all over the world, do the same thing. Come to America, go get that public education, take that public education, go to higher education, and accomplish their dreams and become a success. Why? Because that's what the objective is. The objective is nothing more than what predicts future success. That's why you go get the education. If you fail in your education, a lot of times, that's a predictor of future success. So what I would advise people to do, quit complaining about a system that you say ain't for you. You can you can go get a free room probably at the library every week, or ask a church person like we do. Hey, can we use your church to do this this weekend? You would be surprised if you try something to address these issues, the help you probably could get.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to try to just place the blame on something else, that's not an answer.
Good deal. Good deal. We're going to get out. We're going to get out of here, man. Before we get out of here, let me go to who I want to go to right quick before we get out of here. Let me go to Tucson. What's
No, it ain't gonna be that bad. It's just it's never the problem. How you look at it. If you look at it in a negative sense, you're gonna have to dig yourself out the hole where you created it. But there's a positive aspect to everything that happens. If you look at it like that, you probably be closer to the solution. I'm just saying.
Good deal. Good deal. Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, sir?
Can I ask a question first?
Yes, sir.
You know, we address the fact that there are a lack of home training, so somewhere the parents are dropping the ball or maybe lacking. And being that we can't make or force a parent do what they're supposed to do, but those children is gonna still continue to live in that environment. Will this conversation we had today help them?
Excellent question, and I hope in some kind of way, yes.
Because if I look at it, I think about it that those children with that small, young, undeveloped, immature mind have a lot of choices and decisions to make based on the lack of a lot of wisdom and a lot of neglect, a lot of non-guidance. So with these options, would they be able to accomplish these options if they don't have the parents that we are telling that they need to go and enroll them in different schools? They need to do better.
I'm hoping that's what the community
parents ain't gonna do what they're supposed to do.
I'm hoping that that's where a lot of the community and Ibrahim, I hear you, brother, but we got to get out of here, brother. We got to go. See, we with one question we could end up being another 30 minutes or more, and so
I got a real quick solution.
See.
We talked about the problem, and we really did.
Curtis, we got to get out of here, brother. We got to get out.
We'll do it another day.
Okay.
We'll do it another day.
We'll definitely gonna revisit this.
And we ain't get no resolve.
This is a conversation that we definitely gonna have to revisit many more times, not just once or twice, but many more times. So, Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today, sir?
If you missed today's broadcast and would like to see or hear the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Willa!
Hey, Raheem, I'm ready. Come on now.
Are you ready?
Raheem.
Are you ready, Willa?
I am so ready. I'm ready.
Let's go.
Ready, Raheem.
Let's go.
Father God in heaven, Lord, thank you. We thank you, Lord, for allowing us to get up today, Lord. Father, if there's been anything that we have said today, Lord, Father, we ask you for your forgiveness. Father, we're looking for your guidance, Lord, each and every day, oh Lord. Father, continue to give us the wisdom. Help us to understand those things that we can't, oh Lord. And Father, we're looking that you are still allowing your grace and your mercy to be showed up on us, Lord. Father, I ask you to touch each and every last one that's on this line today, oh Lord. Help us, oh Lord, to become better disciples for you, Lord, through your word, Lord. Father, you said it in your word to cast all our cares upon you. You said it in your word, Lord, that no weapon formed against us will prosper, Lord. We believe it, Lord. Help our educational system, Lord. Those who are over us, our government, Lord. Help them in the name of Jesus, Lord. Father, we're asking you to do these things in your son Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen. It's already sealed. It's already done.
Yes.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Great broadcast, y'all. And I got to say it, man. This topic that we talked about, the second part of the broadcast, man, education. It wasn't broke. It wasn't broken overnight, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. We have to have several conversations in order to get to a place or a point or a place where we can see a progress. We can't stop. We cannot waver away from it, but we have to continuously work on this thing and have communications with people and people that's in education. So hopefully we'll get some more of them on board as well as we move forward and continue to talk about this thing. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. And I know, realistically, I know we're not going to solve all the problems in one broadcast. It's not going to happen. But we can continue to talk about it, continue to address it. And when we see a problem, something going on within the educational system, we have to be willing and able to step up and do what needs to be done to fix that problem. Fair enough? And nobody said fair enough. Lord, my Jesus. It is now 10:11. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Then I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 10:11. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light on you for the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other. And please, please be blessed. Yes. Yes.
I just want to say fair enough. Good weekend.
My man, Toya said it too. Yeah, good. I'm glad somebody is here. I said, God almighty, ain't nobody said a word. Y'all have a great day. Love each and every one of you. Please be blessed.